Oh, fuck, I'm hitting him. Oh, god damn it.
Twitch is working.
Is it? It's the YouTube.
Oh, yes.
Is it gone?
Oh, something's happening. Circles.
Nothing.
Oh, this is like you last time. It took it a while to figure out.
Let's give it a minute, because I need to look up some bits first.
Yeah, you need to check to make sure your choices are
So
valid.
2010, right?
2010 to 2019.
2010.
This will all make sense in the second. All our reviewers who actually watch this will make sense in the second when we actually introduce it properly.
Yeah, don't worry about it.
It's all good. It's all good. And it's really fine. All his choices are wrong.
Yeah, 2010. Yes, that's another one. Let's check this one. I know that at least 2 of these came out at other times.
So I thought some bullshit reason why they're valid anyway.
Yeah, just fucking. I was drunk.
Yeah. I think you find it didn't technically get released until Northern Ireland until 2019. So you know it came out in 2008. It's technically fine.
Yeah, it didn't release until we left Europe. Whoa, there's another one. Woo! No, hang on.
So is that 2 out of 5?
Yeah, so far. So one. Technically Dark Souls would be okay, I think. That definitely is. That's okay, because we already said that one. Fuck those 2, because they're dumb. I need to check 3 more, and then we will start the podcast.
So how many you got?
About 50. About 50, mate. I've only got a few.
We probably should just check this up before we start broadcasting. Yeah, we're so organised here.
Silly.
I'm sorry I one viewer.
One viewer. Yeah. That's us. Woo!
Yeah. Don't watch fresh YouTubes.
Apparently that's a good one. This is one that I desperately want to check. Because... Oh, fuck Australia. No one cares about when it came out in Australia. Hey, that's another one.
So are they all valid?
There's just one more I need to check. I don't really know if I give a crap about 2 of them, but... I don't give a piss about plus size clothing. I said this to Vinky. That's not a good word to type into a fucking search engine. Hang on, what does it say? 20. I can't fucking read that. I'm blind. 2011.
Yes.
I'm blind with my glasses on.
Yes.
There you go. Yes, I win.
We're good.
I win like the Mad Madam Mim. So fuck all he is. Oh, I'm hitting the microphone. Don't worry about it. I'm going to wreck the audio again in a minute. You can just sit there on the stand and break on my laptop and stuff. It's fine. It's fine. Technology's pretty tough these days.
Do you want to fresh YouTube?
Oh, yeah. Where's my keyboard? Ha! Yeah, I did it.
I did a funny. If only the F5 key would work. Oh, don't tell me this is doing play.
Huh?
Oh, not.
What, how did we fix it last time?
Magic.
With magic? You mean waiting longer, yeah?
Yeah, I went. Yeah, it's.
You have got that set for YouTube now, right?
Yes. Stream now. That's what I got set for. I checked it.
Now? Why is that not?
Right, let me turn my data back on. Let me check.
Do the thing, Ram. Make it. Do the thing.
Make it work, Ram.
Yeah, do the thing that makes the thing work. Because I've got a stonking headache at the moment, and I ain't making it.
Have you got the restream log on details? We really should check this before we started, really, shouldn't we?
What the hell? No. Where's my... That one? So I wanted... Yeah, that one. No. Hang on. That's it. All because YouTube's a dickhead. Excuse me.
Yeah, it's not showing up on YouTube.
How do I... They've changed the layout, haven't they? Where's the...
Multi-streaming? Multi-stream, there you go. YouTube stream now. Sending data. I hate when they do that. I think just click on the boom. There you go.
Go away. Fuck. That's it. Disconnect that motherfucking call, you fucking piece of shit. Stupid scan on web to fucking sign. Well, it's says it's going, but it isn't doing anything. Hang on. Right, you have just broken the thing. Toggle channels on the fly. Oh, fuck you and your fucking page, stupid fucking poxy ass motherfucker. Please restart your broadcast or apply changes. Oh.
Don't worry about it. If needs be, I'll just pull it off Twitch and I'll re-upload it.
Okay.
We'll do it that way.
YouTube, you are shite.
Okay, so after all that nonsense,
So I'll just refresh button again just in case.
Yeah, no, it's not coming through. I will pull it down, and I will.
Okay.
I'll pull it down. Evening, Annie. No technical issues. So, good everybody on the TheSuffolkRam.
Guys, yes.
Welcome to episode 130 of the Roundheads podcast.
1 second, breaking audio. Right, taking these fucking glasses off as well to give me a headache.
I'll take my glasses off as well then.
Good job.
No, it looks.
Your glasses give me a headache.
No,
you should take them off.
I look completely wrong about my glasses. I'm putting them back on.
Excellent. Oh, when's the? Do we have a podcast end of February?
Yes.
When?
There is one on the 29th, but we can always reschedule.
Do you know what's really funny?
What?
Honorary foreign rand nerd is down.
Is he?
Yes.
Oh.
Saber's down, so.
Ah. Do you think you'd be up for joining us?
Yes.
Awesome. Awesome. Right. Breathe in. And out. Right.
You still feeling
to
all that white evil?
Sorry?
You still feeling all that white man evil?
Yes. Welcome to episode 130. The first episode of 2020. Yay. And we're doing a bit of a special.
Yes.
So we decided that for a bit of difference, as we've got a new decade, depending on who you ask.
Mm-hmm. What is your stance on that?
From a programmer's point of view, it's a new decade because we start at zero. And as from a societal point of view, it's a new decade at zero. From a pedantic point of view, technically, next year's a new decade because you start counting at 1. You don't count at 0. But also, let's face it, if someone says, oh, it was in the 20s, you don't want to go, it was in the 20s, but remember, you can't count the 20th, but you have to include the 30th in that date.
We're going to start getting really confused.
Let's face it, I think the current system where we count from the 0 to the 9 works quite well.
Logic, I like it.
Yeah, also a decade is an arbitrary point, so you can have at any point in time anyway, so you get a decade just a period of time, so you can have
There'll be another decade next year, so.
And the year after, and the year after, and the year after, and the year after.
That was a decade last year as well.
It was, yes.
But people get so confused. It depends on when I fancy counting from.
Yeah, you could do it to the day, to the minute, it's the hour. It's the second.
I mean, now we're just being assholes.
We are. So anyway, so what we thought we'd do is we'd look at the gaming over the last 10 years and we'd pick out a few choices of what we thought the best Saw games of that period. The rules are had to be released into either the UK or basically be available in the UK or exception US, because let's face it, it's in the UK. So if it got released in like Japan 10 years previous before it got released in the UK, you could still count it because it's a fresh release to us. It had to be a new game rather than a sequel. So if it's a third game in a series, that doesn't count because the original game was released.
Yeah, so for example, I couldn't pick East 8 because East 1 came out in like 1980 odd, so.
We have allowed one cheat game.
I haven't come up with a cheat.
I've got one cheat game. Okay. So the cheat game was like basically bypass those rules.
Okay.
That was so that's
the groove.
But I think there's a good valid reason for my cheat game, and I'll explain it when we get to it. Right. So we've picked 5 games each. You picked about 10. Well, we said 5 games before. If we spend 10 minutes on each one, that's nearly 2 hours. So
the thing is, because I was like, at first I couldn't think of anything. I was like, there's nothing. Everything's shite. Everything's turd or everything's a re-release.
Well, you see, this choice, I went through. I literally went on Wikipedia. I just listed games released in 2010, 2011, 2012, and so on. Just went through the whole list. And just like, okay, yep, that one down. Picked them all out. I actually put every game that I played from that period of time. I picked out and put in, that wasn't a sequel and followed the rules. I picked out and put into a document, and I picked my choice out of that. But I noticed early 2010s, there was not a lot of choices. Most of them were sequels. There weren't many new IPs back then. And my theory is end the console cycle. Because Xbox 360 and PlayStation 4 came out 2013.
No.
Not counting Wii U, not counting Nintendo because they're weird.
Yeah, sure.
They're weird. But 2010, 2012, 13, you've basically got the old consoles about to be retired and replaced by new stuff. So, given that games take about 3 years to develop, 2 to 3 years to develop,
Yeah.
if you're having a new IP, you're probably going to target, at that point, you're going to target a new console. You're not going to target, so you're not going to develop new IPs for the existing ones.
Mm-hmm.
But you're still going to get lots of sequels because the engine's there, you know it works, you've just got to add more stuff to it.
Yeah.
So I think that's probably reason dev for the dev. Having said that, nearly all my games are from that period in time. But I know, so I got close to 2019, towards 2019, I was picking up more and more choices. Mm-hmm. A lot more choices came out of that period in time.
Yeah.
That's what I just know. That was my theory. There's probably a lot of other factors in that as well. That was my sort of theory behind it. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I found it was, at first I found it quite hard actually picking. I thought it was going to be a bit of a slog, but actually towards the end I got quite a selection to pick from.
Yeah.
And I was also quite pleased with my final 5 just jumped out at me. I literally looked at them and was like, they're the 5 I'm going to have. And just picked them rather than it was obvious which 5 I was going to have. I'm guessing your method wasn't quite so as rigorous as mine.
No, well, because initially I was just like, I'm going to just wing it. We're just going to say, what games can I think of? Like, because obviously my memory's really bad. So if I enjoy a game, if it sticks, I must have really liked it.
So is Nier Automata in that list?
No, because I think Nier, the original Nier, came out before. That was an Xbox 360.
Oh,
release.
what a shame! Broke the rules.
What a shame! That was my cheat game. No, it weren't. Fuck you. Look at all of the books that I've read. The game. I just kind of started trying to think of games and then just checked to see if they'd come out within our time period. And initially I was like, oh yeah, that came out. And I looked and I was like, for example, Army of Two. I really wanted Army of Two to qualify. Fucking 2 years too old.
Could be a cheat game.
Army of Two, then, that's my cheat game. I was going to give that to East 8.
But you can only have one.
Damn it. Stupid rules. But then, I was like, Inky, I can't think of anything. I go, I've got 2, and that's only because they came out this year, so I've already spoken about them. She said, what about Destiny? And I was like, because we were then playing Destiny 2, I was like, let me check. Oh my god! And that was like the first game on the list other than the new
There
stuff.
we go. Bring us on to our first game then.
Density.
Density.
Right, we're going to face our density. So, Destiny, Destiny 2, it's going to qualify for one of my first, top games of the decade. Basically being Halo, but not Halo. It's what Halo really could have been. It's made by Bungee, the creators of Marathon and Halo, and
everybody forgets about Marathon.
Yeah, I really liked Marathon. It was like, Doom for Max.
Yeah.
It was
Doom
fun.
was the first person shooter, Skazz.
No.
First 3D first person shooter. What are you talking about?
Doesn't Wolfenstein 3D get that title?
I thought Doom beat it.
No, it's just by the same...
Was Wolfenstein first?
Someone check that for me, please.
No.
But
I knew Doom was like...
Doom was one of the first big popular ones.
That's
it was the
probably
one
what
that
it is.
popularised it. But I'm pretty sure Wolfenstein...
It wasn't true 3D.
Came out for... No, it wasn't, was it? It was... same like Build 3D for Duke Nukem 3D. It wasn't actually a 3D...
the levels are sort of 3D, but the all the characters in it weren't 3D. They were 2D sprites.
Mm-hmm. So they'd basically rotate on a point, and you'd always see them from the front or the back.
Billboards.
The more you know.
Yeah,
the more you know.
It's called billboards.
But basically, Destiny was a first-person shooter RPG MMO.
Yes,
and it was it's always on, and the idea being the world has been screwed up by the Fallen, was it? The bad guys? I can't remember now. It's been a while. Basically,
the story from what, because I literally recently played Destiny 2, and I'm from the intro, and basically it's way in the future. Everything goes to shit. This guy called the Traveller makes everything nice, and he gets attacked or something shitty happens to him.
Yeah,
and
so
it'll go bad from
basically humanity almost gets wiped out, and the Traveller is like an alien being or something. It's just like a giant sphere, finds its way to Earth, and
doesn't he defend himself against the Form, which is how he ends up? He sacrifices
he
himself.
he unleashes he fucking giving a gender to the Traveller. The Traveller releases light to the surrounding universe, which creates ghosts. These little. If anyone's played Halo, it's basically this game's version of 343 Guilty Spark, like a little floaty AI companion-y thing that does stuff. The ghosts then travel around the world to find compatible guardians, so like dead warriors or whoever that have fallen in battle or combat over the previous centuries. They then resurrect you and use the Traveller's Light. They give you new life, and the idea is that you then fight on behalf of the Traveller to defend other humans and other races that can't, because you are effectively immortal because of the Traveller's Light. They give you 3 classes. You can be a Titan, a Warlock, and a Hunter. And in the grand scheme of things, not really a whole lot changes per character, other than a few base stats. Like a Titan can take more hits than like a Warlock or whatever. Some of Warlock's skills will charge faster than a Titan's or whatever. Things like grenades are provided by the Traveller's Light, so grenades are on a cooldown.
Yeah.
Ammo is also created by the Traveller's Light, which explains why when you kill an enemy, they drop ammo compatible with your gun. They don't just happen to have ammo for you. You are being given it by the Traveller's Light. You can't die because whilst the Traveller still has power, you can just be resurrected unless you are in a zone that has been cut off from the Traveller.
It's a very clear way of explaining the respawning mechanic.
Yeah, which I thought was actually kind of neat, because I don't know if you've played the mission yet, but
I've played 2 missions in Destiny.
So the intro mission, the original intro mission to Destiny 2, explains that every Guardian gets cut from the Traveller's Light. And so Guardians start getting killed en masse. And for the first time in hundreds of years, Guardians are now terrified to go into battle. Because, I mean, normally if they take a bullet, the Ghost just brings them back. Now only the best of the best Guardians are actually out there on the front lines until you manage to get reconnected to the Traveller and regain your immortality. And for nearly the majority of the first campaign of Destiny 2, you are the only Guardian with access to the light. You are the only one that can still respawn. You are the only one that still has your power. So each class has their own classes. Solar, Void, and no one ever remembers the other one. I think like Striker or something like that. And these all give you different abilities provided to you by the Traveller's Light. So, for example, as a hunter can triple jump. But when the hunters in Destiny 2 get cut from the Traveller's Light, they can jump once. They don't have any special abilities anymore. Their grenades disappear. They are just regular human beings, which I thought was kind of neat. It's a fun game. It's had tons of expansions. There have been books. There have been toys.
There's still releasing expansions for it as well, aren't there?
Yes. Destiny 1 had 2 kind of like smaller episodes, and then Taken King and Rise of Iron, I think it had, and 2 big expansions. And then Destiny 2 came out, which is a beautiful, beautiful game compared to Destiny 1, even though it takes place in the same world. I think that's had a metric butt ton of expansions released for. I think you had 3 main campaigns, which can last anywhere between like 4 and 8 hours a piece. Then you had, I think, 2 full expansions after that, and the first 3 campaigns are free now, seeing as Destiny 2 has been re-released as a free-to-play. It's it's a very, very fun
Yeah.
RPG first-person shooter.
And quite a unique game, because there aren't many games quite like that sort of style of, an MMO that's also online, it's cooperative and so forth.
I mean, you
the
have
ones that
kind of
come
like
to-
a Borderlands-y kind of thing, don't you?
Yeah, but that's not like that's instance though. It's not. It's local. I mean, there's lots of local co-op games like that, but not things. The only things I can think close to it are PlanetSide and Hellgate London.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about Hellgate, actually.
Yeah. And the only things I can think that are quite close to it, really, because sort of cooperative but persistent.
Yeah.
Which Borderlands isn't. It's not persistent. You're posted on someone else's machine.
Sure. I mean, it's. I love the lore in it. Just the fact that there are actually three. I think there's 3 full hardback books of Destiny lore at this point. Loads of stuff you can read about all the different races and religions. All the different little factions that popped up. Like, so, you'd have Titans had their own faction, which then had like different groups in those. So much stuff going on in this universe. Admittedly, the games have had a bit of a rocky life, but so fun, and really well worth the play.
Something I've also learned from now we describe Destiny is I know where Warhammer got the idea for their Stormcast for Age of Sigmar. Because in Age of Sigmar, the Stormcast, these people who were once great warriors who get reborn to fight for Sigmar, and when they die, they get respawned.
There you go. I mean,
And they come down and lightning strikes.
I mean, I thought it was. It was interesting. Initially, I didn't really have, because I'd had a bit of a falling out with Bungee because the Halo games just got really stale. I loved Marathon, Halo got stale, and I was a tad worried. I will admit when Destiny came, I was like, oh, this is going to be shitty Halo. How is it going to be able to compare to Halo? Because Halo had tons of story, loads and loads of lore. People absolutely loved it. And it took next to no time at all for me to think Halo is actually the suckier version of the two of these. Destiny is beautiful. It's a fun little world. Admittedly,
Sorry, I pressed the wrong button on my thing.
Good job.
I meant to silence it, and I accidentally pinged my iPhone.
The weird. I will say one thing with Destiny 1. The order in which you take the story missions, because it just gives you a map and you basically pick the ones that are open to you. When I left some of my friends in charge of navigating where we were going to go, we did missions in such bizarre orders, and I was like, this makes absolutely no sense. What are you doing? And it's like, oh yeah, it turns out we did mission 3 as the second one.
Does it actually tell you this, or?
Nope.
So it doesn't tell you. It doesn't tell you a route through it. Then you have
Destiny
to guess.
1 basically gave you levels, so it would say this is your level 3 mission, this is your level 5 mission, or whatever. But apparently, my friends didn't clock to this, so I was doing them in level order, and they just did them as they found them, which annoyed me a tad. But I went through some of the missions solo anyway. I've had many a great experience in Destiny. Me and my wife, we went through the Black Garden, which is like the first kind of main campaign, and she took the end boss out with a knife shot to the face. I'd almost ran out of ammo. She had ran out of ammo because she wasn't actually strong enough to be in the Black Garden at the time. Her level was nowhere near high enough. She didn't have the equipment for it. So I was trying to draw as much fire as possible because I'd already been through the Black Garden. And I'm like, shit, I'm going to run out of ammo. I'm not strong enough for a full-on assault. So I jump out from behind this pillar with my shotgun, and the next thing I see is my wife jumps off this Stonehenge-y kind of platform, flies towards the face of the end boss and just knifes him right in the fucking head, and the boss just goes, poof, disintegrates. I'm like, what the hell just happened? And
That was so cool.
it was, and I'll never forget it, because I was like, I don't think we're going to make it. I didn't think we were going to be able to pull it off, and it was brilliant. And when we logged into Destiny 2 recently, because I've put Destiny 2 off for years, so I wanted my old clan to finish Destiny 1 with me. In the end, we just said, screw it, we're just going to go straight into Destiny. We're going to go into Destiny 2. We'll do Destiny 1 by ourselves, leave the clan behind, and then go into Destiny 2, because we're missing all these new adventures. When we moved into Destiny 2, it actually kind of gave us, you conquered the Black Garden, and then it gave us a date for when we did it and who we did it with. So if you did it solo, it would say, like, you beat Black Garden in 2013 or 2014 or whatever, and then it would give you a date and a picture and a couple of character names and that. And it was fun to just see who was there when we first cleared certain raids and events. And, and this is, are you ready to start a new journey? And it's like, fuck yes, let's go. And so I went and started shooting things, and I've been thoroughly enjoying myself since. Story is weird as hell. I've got no idea what the fuck's going on, but goddamn, I'm enjoying putting bullets in people's faces.
Yeah, it's a very responsive shooter, very fast paced. My first experience, I really enjoyed it. I was like, this is really fast paced.
And the fun thing is, you've been playing it on Stadia.
I haven't played it on Stadia. Skazz very kindly sent me a Stadia invite pass. And yes, I've been playing games on Stadia. And Destiny 2 is one of those. I've only played a couple of missions in Destiny 2, but yeah, it's flawless.
I will show you later how to get to the legacy missions, because when Destiny went free to play and they released the New Light campaign, which is a campaign for new players, they kind of tucked away the original Destiny 2 opening, because the original Destiny 2 opening takes place directly after Rise of Iron. So they kind of expect you to have already had a character and already know the lore and stuff. I will show you where to get the legacy missions so you can
go back and do them.
Yeah, because they are really, really fun. At least I thought they were fun.
So they transferred everything across Destiny 2, all the missions from all the expansions there and everything. So it's like you don't need Destiny 1 anymore. You've got Destiny 2.
Oh, no, Destiny 1 stuff, you don't... The legacy missions are legacy to Destiny 2. So Destiny 2's original opening... So you did a mission when you launched Destiny 2 on the Cosmodrome, didn't you?
Yes.
That wasn't the original launch mission. The original launch mission was the Red War, which took place on the tower, which was the original hub world of Destiny 1. I don't know if you noticed it, but when I launched Destiny 2, it gave me the New Light campaign, because obviously whilst I had transferred a character from Destiny 1, all of the original missions had become legacy content. So it put me into New Light, and I went to the tower, and all of a sudden there were these characters saying, oh, such and such, do you know what happened at such and such a place, and what happened to such and such a person? And I knew those character names, but was like, wait, shit, what? What are you talking about? What do you mean something's happened at such and such? Why is this place different? This isn't the tower. This isn't what I remember. And I was like, oh yeah, apparently the tower got attacked. And I was like, but I haven't seen that. I didn't hear any of that. What's going on? Or when I went down to Earth, some of the missions were like, oh, hey, such and such is back, referring to you, the main Guardian. I was like, what do you mean I'm back? I don't know who the fuck you are. And it turns out that if you'd have done the Red War legacy content when the game first came out, you'd know who these characters were. You'd know that the tower was attacked. But it wasn't... Destiny 2's kind of consolidation of content wasn't particularly clean. They haven't cleanly wrapped things up so that NPCs will still treat you as though you've done all of that original content, even if you haven't.
That can be very confusing for people.
Yes. So when you start Destiny 2, there is a character in the hangar. It's a young lassie. She will say to you how she has experienced. If you ever want to know about the history of the Guardians, speak to her, because she has been there for some of the tougher battles. She offers 3 original campaigns: Red War, Curse of Osiris, and like the War Mine, something like that. I can't remember what it is, but those are the original content for Destiny 2, and I recommend you start with the Red War, because fuck me, that starts off pretty strong. Admittedly, I think it would mean a lot more if you played through Destiny 1, but a lot of players who went into Destiny 2 had never played Destiny 1 because it was console exclusive.
Yeah.
But for me, was a brilliant world, crafted, a brilliant... By the way, Spotify did a, what music have you been listening to for this last however many years or whatever, the last decade in review? Well, I only started listening to Spotify this last year. It put the Destiny soundtracks up there for me. Cracking music, brilliant story, combat is fun, graphically Destiny 2 is beautiful. well worth a go and easily one of the top games of the decade for me.
Awesome. Right, so moving on to my first game of the decade. The first one I've picked is Metro.
Oh,
The Metro series.
really? Was Metro
2010.
Oh!
Just got in.
I
So,
thought it was a bit older than that. No, it wouldn't have been actually because I didn't get back into PC gaming until about 2011.
yeah. So Metro game series comprises 3 games. You've got Metro 2033, Metro Last Light, and Metro Exodus, which I've not played Metro Exodus, but it's now on Stadia.
Yep.
Because it was an Xbox Store exclusive, so I might pick up Metro Exodus. So Metro 2033. So it's based on a series of books.
Which
by-
I was sure at one point those had a different name, but they've always been Metro, haven't they?
Yes. But I think it's a bit of a weird situation because from what I remember, Metro 23 the game was based on the Metro 2033 book. They made a sequel to Metro 2033 called Metro Last Light, and the author then wrote a book
Based
on
on
the
the
game to time his game series. So it's like sort of a bit of a back and forth between it.
That's kind of like how Steins Gate worked. Steins Gate was a game that then got an anime and a manga adaptation, whereas usually it's the other way around.
Yeah.
They'll make a manga or anime and then base a game on it.
Yes.
So,
So it's as I said, Washington, it's set in a post-apocalyptic Moscow, so in the subways. And basically, there was a nuclear war. Everybody went down into live in these tunnels of subways, hence the name Metro, into the metro system. They all basically survived down there, and I say survive, they're sort of making do with what they've got. They just sort of survive day to day. The sort of top walls of nuclear winter, but for reasons that aren't made particularly clear, same time it's happening, it unleashed demons into the world.
as nuclear war usually does.
Yes. It's basically quite clear these are actual demons, not like mutants. These are actual demon creatures.
Well, I mean, clearly, radiation and we'll just pretend there's like some doom teleportation-y stuff going on. Hellgate.
I think the idea was like it was such an evil thing to do. It's like opened up hell.
Yeah.
And there are bits where you go basically through what seems like hell, and it's a very linear game. These first two are very linear games. It's definitely very much a story based game.
Yes.
There are first-person shooters went sort of veered away from the sort of like the really tight narratives. This is a very tight narrative. There's really only one way through each level. Some levels have got a bit of flexibility in, but generally it's one way through.
Imagine like Medal of Honor style or
Yes.
the early Killzone titles where you had a path to go and you would go there because there was nowhere else to.
But it's expertly crafted. Yeah. It's really in depth. Really neat little games
For a post-apocalyptic world, quite nicely put together.
Very nice. There's factions down there. There's a Nazi faction, there's a communist faction down there as well, who don't like each other, strangely, and who are basically at war. It's got neat features, like all the weapons are not real weapons, they're also homemade.
Yeah.
So there's a gun, which I remember a gun I used to have, which used to fire like sort of homemade harpoons, and you had to pump up every now and again. You had to sit there and you pump up like an air rifle. It's like dropping a little pressure gauge was like you had to sort of watch your pressure gauge ammunition. And ammunition is currency. So when you go to buy stuff, you actually have to use real military bullets to buy things. That's what they're worth a lot. They're worth a lot. Real bullet, because you can switch your weapons between like made up ammo that they've made themselves or military surplus ammo. So the good stuff, which does a lot more damage, but it's also the currency. So you can literally be shooting money at the enemy.
That's how they said that you could realistically think about it. That's how you'd stop wars. Make bullets cost a lot, or make bullets money. People are going to be less likely to shoot people up.
You say make things cost a lot. Given how much like a cruise missile costs, it doesn't really. It only helps people who doesn't really help people who are poor, does it?
No, but then let's be fair. Wars are, for the rich people to run in and take what the poor people have.
Yeah.
So, what do you mean we call
that liberation.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So the
liberate
rich people can go in there and wait. Are we liberating them or them of their resources?
Pay a bit of both.
Bit of both, all right.
But yeah, so there's a tale where you basically you deal with supernatural things. Like there's this tunnel you go, which has got like a ghost train. It's an actual ghost train that you have to sort of avoid. And there's like you have to watch out for spirits, and it's all in game as well. So like your map is actually it's an actual physical object.
You hold it, yeah.
And if you want to see, you have to have a lighter so you can see in the dark. But
then the enemies will see you if you whip out your map and your lighter and you're in a dark zone. Oh, that game was evil.
And it's also that's the other thing about it. It's a really tough game. It doesn't pull its punches. Stealth is really
it bloody
tricky.
cheats, mate. You could have been an Amazon delivery guy. If you stood on some glass 5 miles away, every person within those 5 miles would come at you and shoot you full of holes like Swiss cheese.
Yeah, you're right. Stealth is good. It's so atmospheric as well. When you go onto the surface, the first thing you got there is so bleak. Oh, you also have a gas mask. You have to try and change filters. So you've got to make sure you change your filters. You ain't got enough filters.
Make sure the enemy doesn't fuck up your gas mask.
And it's got some unique enemies in it. There's this one bit where you encounter the called librarians, and they are these monsters that basically, as long as you maintain eye contact, they'll just walk up to you very slowly, very determined, but they'll just walk up to you very slowly, and then when they get close, they'll actually attack you. If you turn your back on them, they charge you and they run at you. But as soon as you stare at them, they just walk up to you slowly, and you can stare them down. If you just lock eyes on them, like you have to sort of aim right between their eyes and lock eyes with them, which is hard to do because there's no reticle at that point. Yeah, you can stare them down and they'll back off.
It's because you not look down the sights and.
I don't think that makes them aggressive. I think if you you've got to be sort of non-threatening staring down.
Interesting.
It's very much sort of something like you're sort of like when you see two goats sort of staring off against each other about to have a fight. They might just back off.
Yeah.
They sort of stare. It's all that sort of staring, or like seeing two cats in the garden just staring off against each other. Not actually.
So I clearly didn't play enough to get to that.
That's quite late on.
Because you got to think that. I mean, Metro. That's
such a nice idea.
The original Metro, my God, was a machine killer. Back in the day, from what I remember.
Yeah.
If you wanted to get the best out of Metro, you really had to have a pretty beefy machine.
Tough game. Metro Last Light is like harder.
Oh wow!
There's some absolutely. I mean, twice you're mentioning your Destiny battle. There were 2 battles in that game that I ran out of ammunition with against boss monsters. And I had to take them out using a knife. It took me 30 minutes to. I think it was on like 30 minutes to take one boss.
Didn't you Let's Play that as well?
Yes,
that was during a Let's Play.
There was an episode Let's Play. I think it's a 45-minute long Let's Play, but 30 minutes of me fighting a guy with a knife. I win.
Just slowly like a death by 1,000 cuts.
It is, yeah. But that's quite just hard to do. That is really hard to do because you got 2 swipes and you're dead type situation. It's a really tough game, and that's on quite an easy-ish level as well, an easy difficulty level. It's absolutely phenomenal game. It's just one of the games. As soon as I looked on this, that's going to have to be my top 5. It's jumped out.
I didn't realise. I thought Metro was a bit older. Had I
just in time.
I should have just literally looked at it and gone, but Skazz, you didn't get back into PC gaming until XYZ time, and Metro was pretty new at that point. Yeah. Wow, that's good choice. Good choice.
Thank you.
Wow, I didn't even think about it. I'll be honest with you. Metro is a series that I've wanted to get back into. But I've tried to play because obviously I'm on Linux these days, and my Windows gaming rig is dead. I've wanted to play the Redux collection.
I'll say if you're going to get the Redux, because what they did was they basically took Metro Last Light's interface, which was a lot better because they fixed a lot of things. So the original Metro, your time of your gas mask was a time on your watch.
Yeah,
that was really hard to see.
Yeah,
to see. Because also, I think you want to look at the time to actually pull your wrist up to look at your watch. That was quite hard to see. When they changed it last, it was an actual countdown timer.
See, I haven't properly played the Redux collection because I played the original, and it was, from what I played of it, it was really fun. The atmosphere was intense as balls. But I went to play Redux on Linux because that's the version that's on Linux, and I was like, I don't remember Metro looking this shite. It really didn't look very good, and it didn't play very well either. So I'm not entirely sure if it's just my rig and my install, but I've just not been able to get back into it just because of how poor it seems to run on my machine. So, but at some point, I'd like to at least get back into it or read the books.
Yes.
And my machine is just turned off. You dickhead.
Oh, yeah.
I need you.
I'm
not doubly gone to sleep. You dick. And you got so scared about the idea of maybe playing Metro that you turned off.
Awesome. There you go. So it's perfect time to say, what's your next game on your list?
You asshole. 1 second.
I watched part of it. I went old fashioned.
Yeah, you went and did like hard copy.
I printed a bit of paper out with all my choices on it. Yeah,
hard copy. One of the reasons why the podcast tonight was late for anyone that went to catch this live is because I forgot my laptop. I was like, how did you forget your laptop? You're in a room full of computers, Skazz. Yeah, I know. I just left it downstairs like an absolute tit. So if we're only going for 5, I think I'm going to have to be a complete and utter asshole and say next series of the decade is Hyperdimension Neptunia.
I knew. Do you know what? I knew that was going to be in there. I knew it. What we should do, we should try to predict each other's games. There are 2 games that I'm going to guess. Now, I'm going to have a look at your list and see if I can see the other one on there. Oh, no, it's not on there.
Oh? What's going on?
I was going to guess you were going to put Splatoon down.
See, you know what? I didn't actually think of Splatoon. I didn't think about it.
See, you should go for the lists.
You know, I mean, Splatoon's fun, but I'm going to be honest with you. In recent history, I've not touched Splatoon at all. They made some more and more adjustments to Splatoon 2, and I was like, you know what? I'm fucking sick of this. I beat the Octo expansion, which was the kind of the DLC add-on content for Splatoon 2. The campaign for Splatoon 1 was fun and fresh and neat. Splatoon 2's was basically Splatoon 1, so I was like, ugh. Octo expansion came out and was brilliant, but then after, 90 to 100 hours of Splatoon 2 doing the same skirmish maps, or, the same, 4v4 PvP, I was like, I'm kind of bored of this now. I've been playing the exact same game now for, however many years.
So it didn't make the grade.
No,
hence why you picked.
Yeah. So Hyperdimension Neptunia is a JRPG series from a year that I can't remember, but
you checked as well.
It does qualify.
Oh, so it has the honour. That was the game that you discussed on our very first podcast.
Which it had to be here because
and also, the one on my list is a game we discussed on our very first podcast as well. So if you're quick and you look back over the list to find out, you'll know 2 of the games coming up.
There you go, quick, check. Place your bets. You were wrong. Or you were right. You cheeky sods. We can't check, but you probably lied. Or you didn't. So Hyperdimension Neptunia is a JRPG series that is, oh man, it's goofy as hell. It's a very particular style. There's only a couple of games like it, but basically they were made by it was a collaboration game between NIS, Gust, and a few other companies where they decided they were going to do a piss take of the console wars. So the idea behind Hyperdimension Neptunia is it's an anime RPG where the consoles of the last 30 years or so are goddesses, the top of their religion. And they fight for shares in what becomes known as the console wars. So if you're a Sega fan, you worship the goddess of Planeptune. So Neptune was the unreleased Sega console. If you're a Nintendo fan, you would worship the goddess of the Wii, taking the mick out of Nintendo Wii. If you're a fan of Microsoft and the Xbox, you were a fan of Leanbox, and fan of like PlayStation and Sony, you would be a fan of Black Heart of the Station. Now, Sega got locked.
Atari.
No, and now Atari is actually mentioned in Hyperdimension Neptunia, as there is is it Ray Wrights is a character in the series that turns out she was the fallen goddess of Tari. She was one of the most powerful, but she kind of abused her fan base in it. Like she abused her followers. Like she knew she was all powerful, so she didn't really do anything for them. And so eventually they just left her and she faded out. And she does actually make a comeback and awakens and starts trying to take out the other goddesses of the current generation. Sega gets knocked out of the console war as well. So obviously, remember when the Dreamcast came out, it failed, and Sony, Nintendo, and Microsoft continue. So why is Neptune in it? Neptune being the Sega 32X Mega Drive combo console, I think. They explain that the goddesses have been in a stalemate for centuries, and the only way that they see that they're going to move anything forward, and this is just the initial game, because the whole thing is just literally taking the piss out of gamer culture. The three of the goddesses decide that because we're not going anywhere, no one is going to become the one true goddess. Why don't three of us team up to take out one of the other consoles or one of the other goddesses? So they go for Sega, Neptune. So she gets knocked from, the goddess's happy world or whatever, and plunges back down to the human world, where she then realizes, hang on a minute, there's loads of people actually undermining the goddesses every day, like R4, which is the play on the copy card R4 for Nintendo DS. Those like CFW characters, meaning custom firmware characters. They were basically
is Steam in it?
No, they're not. But or Valve isn't. But like loads of other game characters come up, and there's loads of trivia spattered everywhere. And the idea is that you, as Neptune, then travel the world to try and solve all the problems, to build up shares, to basically get Sega back into the market.
So you're playing as Neptune.
Yeah. You play as Neptune.
Hence, I suppose it's the title.
Yeah, so you've got you play as Neptune, Iffy, which is Idea Factory, one of the people behind the game, Compa, which is Compile Heart, and then you have characters like Nisa, Gust, obviously the other three goddesses, who represent the other companies. You have loads of like little trivia in that dotted about, like this company used to be a Dukebox company, but then they became a gaming company, which I think
Konami?
I think that was Konami. Yeah, they like just random little bits of gaming trivia all over the place. Levels and enemies come from different games and series, or they're modelled on different things. Obviously they can't get the licenses for a lot of these things, but it's a really fun, quirky take of kind of gaming culture and gaming history. They're always breaking the fourth wall. It's so goofy. The reason I like it so much is because it just reminds me a bit of my childhood, because on the playground you always had like, oh, but my console's the best, or my platform's the best, and PC turns up. They say PC, but it's not really sure yet if it's the PC or the PC engine, the console.
Yeah.
But it's just a really neat, goofy little series based on something that was really stupid from my childhood. So
it's a unique concept, isn't it? It's not.
Yeah.
So it's such a bizarre concept to do, and I mean, it's like, hey, let's tell the story of the console wars. How should we tell it? I know, through the medium of some anime girls.
Yeah, and
it's just it's the most Japanese thing ever, really.
And the thing is as well, like they have used the same engine and style on another game series called Fairy Fencer. So it basically plays exactly like a Neptunia game, but because the story isn't interesting, so it's shit. You're just like, oh. It plays like a Neptunia game, but it doesn't have any. It's still goofy, but you don't kind of feel that connection as a gamer to it. You're like, oh, you're a bit of a dick. I'm not really invested in this world. Yeah. Whereas Neptunia instantly hooks you as a gamer because they're supposed to represent the consoles that you grew up with, kind of thing. They made the first one, Hyperdimension Neptunia, came out on PlayStation 3. They then remodeled the engine for Neptunia 2, so combat style was very different for Neptunia 2. Neptunia 3 came out, and then they re-released the first three games as the Rebirth series. So Neptunia 1 got re-released with some story tweaks, but with Neptunia 2's engine, which a lot of people preferred. So, and that's the one that got released on like PC and all the other platforms. So the original version of the game was only on PlayStation 3, but so fun. Even the music's goofy fun. A combo of like techno and chiptune and stuff like that. Had an anime series. I think it's had a couple of anime series which were kind of neat. Fun little series, worth checking out. If you're into goofy JRPGs, totally worth it. And if you like games about gaming, go for it.
Cool.
It's worth it, I thought.
Awesome. Well, then in that case, I'll discuss the other game we discussed in the first podcast. My next one on my list is Dishonored.
Ooh.
Dishonored is... it's so first person, sort of not RPG, very RPG light. There is some degree of customization, but it's very light. You play as a guy called Corvo, and the sequel you can play as a girl called Emily. But the initial one, you're Corvo, who's basically the protector of the princess, and he comes back from being away for such a long time. And shortly after getting back, he meets with the princess or the queen or empress, whatever she is. She probably gets killed.
Yeah.
So you're brilliant.
Yeah, I was going to say,
you've been away for months.
She was fine.
Not a problem. You get 10 minutes after you get back. you
People didn't even bother to try and attack her whilst you were gone.
10 minutes after you get back.
Too easy.
Yeah, and you basically get blamed for it. You get blamed that you're sort of thing, and you basically get put into prison. You're going to get killed and put to death.
Given what we just said, I would blame him too. I was like, she's been fine for months.
Yes.
And you turned up and now she's dead?
Do you deserve to be killed for it?
Yes. What a twat.
And then, you basically released, and the game follows you basically taking revenge on the people who orchestrated her death, which you find out it was paid for and planned. And you basically have to rescue her daughter, which is, in the first game, it's heavily implied she's your daughter, and you had an affair with the Empress.
As you do.
In the second game, it's confirmed, all but it is your daughter. She refers to him as father. So it's all but confirmed.
Could it not just be that he's the only father figure she has?
That's another interpretation of it, but I think it's pretty clear the way you talk, the way you interact
You
with her.
fucked up your own wife, didn't you, you bastard?
Yeah.
Hey, I was on holiday. We were looking for a new home. I found somewhere I thought
I bought us a timeshare.
Yeah. Figured, I came back, figured I'd tell the wife, and some prat killed her. You killed her, didn't you?
Dowd.
I didn't.
Dowd killed her. So the actual game is a stealth. You can play it stealth based, or you can play it full on action. And basically, the game very much pushes you towards the stealth way of playing, because this is the only thing I don't like about it. It has this system called Chaos, which basically how much carnage you cause will give you like a high or low chaos rating, which changes how the rest of the game develops and how people react to you. I don't like that system. That's the only thing I don't like about the Dishonored system, but I play quite stealthily anyway, so I was
It was a nightmare for me. Although, admittedly, I did play it when I first tried it. I played it quite stealthily. It's rather open.
It's a very open game. That's why I love it. It's just a big open world game.
I'd like to throw out there, initially that really annoyed me because I was Let's Playing at the time, and because it was so open, it was difficult for me to figure out where I needed to go in a timely manner to make it interesting for a Let's Play.
Well, they basically split up, so each level, each sort of mission, you have like an outer level where you are like in the big wide sort of part of the city.
And then you find like a location with your target in it. And then
you go inside, and then it's sort of like its own little self-contained bit. The reason I love it, it reminded me so much of Thief, and apparently a lot of people from the original Thief went on.
I was actually going to say it reminded me a bit of Thief.
Yeah, and Thief was a game where you basically got plonked in this big open world. A big open level would be huge, so like at a mansion, there wasn't a way in. You're like, on the outskirts, you're like in the sort of the walled garden mansion, figure your own way in, do it yourself, how you like, you figure out. Dishonored very much riffs off that, where they just dump you there and say, figure it out. Just do what you like, figure it out. And there's so many ways you can accomplish your objectives. Like the first mission is Dishonored, there's this guy, and you find out he's going to basically poison this other person. There's this guy who's going to try poison, and you can get to the meeting room before them, and you can like switch the glasses round, or you can like smash the glasses so no one gets poisoned, or you can basically and the game reacts. So the guy goes there, and if you switch the glasses around, they both drink it, and you can always see the other guy going, "Oh, you can almost hear one say, 'Why aren't you dead?'" You can almost hear it coming back.
Yeah, it's like, oh, hang on a minute. The shock. It's like,
why are you still alive?
My plan has just failed.
Yeah, and then it distracts and he goes off. It's very immersive gameplay.
You know why he seemed shocked? Oh shit! I'm going to have to tell the wife I'm not getting that raise.
Yes. So, and there's also all your targets. Well, most of your targets have either a lethal way of taking them out or non-lethal ways. So lethal ways are you slit their throat, you shoot them, and what have you. Non-lethally, you might like the first guy. You can basically get him, or one of the early guys. You can basically get him branded a heretic, and he gets kicked out of his order, and he basically dies like as a it's like a walker or race draw, like underneath a bridge somewhere in the flooded district.
He's a bum.
Yeah, basically he dies a really nasty, gruesome death.
Ha.
So you can really fuck people up. There's some of the non-lethal options are pretty nasty. There's like it's heavily implied the non-lethal option for one person is you basically hand over somebody where she's just going to be raped for the rest of her life. That's slightly implied. That's the non-lethal. That's the good option. You're
not dead. However, you're going to suffer for quite some time.
That does feel a bit. I suppose, but it's basically, did you kill them or not? If the answer is no, then it's considered sort of like the low chaos.
I'm going to be honest, morally speaking on that one, I'd take the chaotic route. I'm an evil bastard. I'm not that evil.
You also have magic powers in it, so you've got ones like, and they're all quite straightforward. So the base power you've got is blink if you're Corvo.
Like a teleportation jump.
And it's implied. Yeah, you actually do. I think because later on Emily has her own version, but her shit, she grabs something and gets pulled towards the target, so she's visible. But blink is instantaneous; you're not visible to other people. Though you just sort of literally transport there, and it's got the lore. It's quite interesting. There's sort of heavily implied that there's this plague going about, and it's heavily implied the plague is magical in nature.
Because Corvo gets proper fucked up at some point and then ends up being contacted by
the outsider
who gives him the ability to blink and things like that. He didn't have this stuff to start with. He was just some randomly skilled geezer.
Yeah, he's a generally good spy master, and then one night he goes to bed and he wakes and he has a dream where this guy called the outsider, who is unknown, he's considered like all the trickster god of the world. And there's this other group here called the I think they're called the Overseers. Yes, they wear like masks. They're basically like the equivalent of the religion of the society, but they don't really. There's not so much that they worship any particular deity. It's more that they are totally against anyone worshipping him. So their religion is not worshipping him.
Okay.
And he considers like the old idea, and he's sort of people used to like sort of carve bone charms that sort of like harness his power come from, or it's because all magic comes from this outsider, and he's also linked to all the whales because basically the world's going through this technological revolution. This guy basically discovered a way of harnessing whale oil to basically create power, and he basically created weapons out of it. All systems are powered by this whale oil as well.
It's very what's the one I'm thinking of? It's not cyberpunky.
Steampunk.
That's the one.
Very much like Thief.
Yeah,
you can tell this has got. It almost feels like an unofficial sequel to Thief. It's very much like that, and it's all quite true. I mean, the guy who because they actually made this little set of mini like hand drawn cartoons, very stylized cartoons, very much like the Thief cutscenes, where they actually sort of give you a bit of background. And the guy who basically discovers the whale oil, he realizes that he's actually done a lot of bad because he's created all these weapons and he's basically allowed people to get oppressed by it all, and he ends up shooting himself.
Ooh.
Yeah. You also find out the potential source of the plague. Like this, youngster who gets given the outside, but his young kid keeps getting bullied. So the outsider gives him like powers, and he eats his bullies, and he summons a horde of rats that then go and eat all the bullies.
Oh, right.
And but then they turn on him.
Oh, wow.
And that's implied that's the source of the plague. Then it's also later implied that perhaps the plague got imported in by one of the bad guys. So it's got a lovely. It's a place when you play it, you feel like you're part of a big world.
Yeah.
And you don't really see these big immersive games where you can. I mean, literally, you can spend an hour and a half just in the outside hub before you actually go on the main mission.
I will be honest. One of the things outside of when I played, it was just annoying for me to figure out where I had to go, because the world seemed so lush and full of information that there were just random characters dossing about in their houses, and I could just find myself blinking around the neighbourhoods and stuff. I don't know if maybe it was an unlockable or something. The one thing I wanted more than anything was just to make the guards fuck off for a bit so I could just wander about and explore.
Yeah, no, there's no unlockable. There's no fuck off guard unlockable.
Yeah, because it just seemed like somewhere I would just enjoy walking around the streets for a bit, just to soak up the atmosphere and read some bits and that. But having to sneak around for hours and hours on end to find all of the.
To be fair, once you've sort of learnt the sort of routes through the areas, you can get around quite quickly.
Yeah,
and to be fair, Blink makes that a lot easier. And then obviously Dishonored 2 come out, which basically just carried on from Dishonored 1. And you basically play this. That takes you to a new region, and it's got the same sort of thing. It just improved everything in every way. Yeah. Every little bit got improved and improved. When they take and go, right, this game was good. Mm-hmm. What was not quite right about it? Let's not go mad and change it completely. Let's tweak it and make it better.
For me, Dishonored is very much a game that I bounced off of it, but I would love to watch someone sit and play it. Like, I have watched you shoot me a run of, like an accident run kind of thing, like where everyone dies in an accident. I very much enjoyed watching parts of that. Yeah. It's a game I could enjoy watching, not a game so much I could enjoy playing. Unpopular opinion, I really liked Thief Deadly Shadows.
I like Thief Deadly Shadows is a good game.
A lot of people from the Thief series are like, I've got to play Thief 2 or something like that. I was like, no,
Thief 2 is my favourite. Mm-hmm. Thief 1 I liked, but it's really showing its age. So Thief 1, they put too much combat in it.
Yeah.
Thief Deadly Shadows, I really like Thief Deadly Shadows. I hated the fourth Thief.
Was that the reboot?
Yeah, it's just called Thief. I call it Thief 4.
Yeah, I always call it Thief 4. I wouldn't tell people to start there at all.
No, I'd tell people to stay clear of it. It's a horrible game. They did the exact opposite of what Dishonored did between Dishonored 1 and 2, where they looked and go, right, let's tweak it and make it better. They said, no, we'll strip all that out. We don't want that. Let's strip out. The main character from all the previous Thief games, who's like this ultra good stealthy guy, you find out later on got sent to prison. He died in prison. It's like, well, way to just stamp on the.
I thought they'd actually full blown rebooted it, and it was him.
No, you're playing his. It's implied you're playing one of his descendants because it's not a reboot. It's a sequel, but it's set like 1,000 years later.
I don't like it already.
It's horrible. It's honestly, it's one of the worst games.
What a shitty way to end a character story. How are we going to make it? Like, we've got this really badass character that everyone likes. How are we going to kill him? I don't know.
Let him rot in prison.
Yeah, like he was a royal badass. Oh, I don't know. Forgot to tie his laces one day and fell through a window.
What for? Another reason that Dishonored 2 is great. Corvo is voiced by Stephen Russell. Stephen Russell was the voice of Garrett in all the original Thief games.
There you go. Yeah. There you go.
So, Dishonored, my next game of the decade.
Sure. This is going to be tough for me. It's going to be tough.
You see, he was told he could have 5 choices, but he's picked 10.
Oh, I've picked quite a few. See, this is because what I wanted to do next was maybe follow up as a game that started off as something else and then became something else. So for you, it was Thief that became Dishonored, but I don't really know if this game rates.
Mate, it's your game of the decade.
I'd like to say it qualifies just because it's a reboot of a series or genre that I thought would have been fucking stone dead a long time ago.
Strange Health got one like that as well.
It was a very niche style thing. So I recently last year, Daemon X Machina got released, and it was made largely by folks who had made Armored Core games. Armored Core, so you're a big fan of Mech Warrior, which is a somewhat realistic giant mech fighting game. So
it's more than a mech game that was like a simulator.
Yeah, if there was a giant mech that was, if you had to simulate a giant,
real.
So you had stuff like Hawking that was really quick, and that was like an arena shooter style game. I thought it was quite fun when it first came out. I didn't get into it later on when I got a console release, but I really enjoyed it when it first came out. Armored Core was basically your arcadey, console-y mech game. It was faster paced. Physics didn't really apply, although Armored Core had more realistic physics in it than Daemon X Machina. The main reason I'm going to give Daemon X Machina, I'm even going to put Daemon X Machina on the list, is literally just because I thought Armored Core and those styles of games were dead. I really did. Armored Core was a big part of my childhood. Armored Core 1, Armored Core 2. There are many, many other Armored Core games. Really kind of fantastic, over the top, fast paced, giant robot games where you're just a random mercenary taking shitty missions, and then I don't know, corporate bollocks happens and everything goes tits up and you have to survive, kind of thing. Or I don't know, end of the world AI, or I don't know, just random cult or experiment gone wrong happens and you find yourself somehow up against it, even though initially you were just someone trying to break, get some cash to buy some bread or whatever. But Machina is nice. Like I said, I thought that kind of stuff was dead. I thought Mech Warrior was dead. I thought that giant robot stuff had fallen out of fashion. I didn't think anyone would be interested in that kind of stuff anymore, and yet they're making
Fire's been released.
I had heard. Have you?
No,
you haven't played it.
No, I need to. I want to get a HOTAS before I play it.
Oh, okay, so you're gonna go hardcore with it.
Yeah, I want to get a HOTAS.
Cool. Seriously, man, let me know how that plays, because I haven't played a Mech Warrior game since Mech Warrior 2.
Part of you's like a game that series you loved a new one gets released, and your part of you's like, I don't know if I want to play it in case they fucked it up.
Oh, mate, yeah,
you know what I mean?
I know that groove a lot. I'm like, I don't know.
I don't want to re-look at it too much in case I fucked. I want to have those memories, the good ones.
Yeah, don't look. My rose-tinteds are on. Don't wreck this for me. And you're like, I could literally lick the older games boxes. Don't screw this. Oh, they're screwing with it. Don't. Oh, is it good? Oh, I don't know. There's a flavour there I'm not entirely sure I like. I'm going to leave it over here for a minute just in case I warm up to it. I was kind of like that with Daemon X Machina, because initially I started playing it and I was like, this is just fucking Armored Core, and someone in my stream chat was like, yeah, it's made by the same guys. I was like, is it? And then every time something bad happened, I was like, oh, I don't want to say anything negative about it, because it's Armored Core. I really like Armored Core. Giant robot action, just going around on a square map, blowing the fuck out of everything, customizing your suit to you can either be faster, you can be heavier but more durable, random weapons out the wazoo. Crazy fun, nice soundtrack. Just, if you like giant robots, I can't explain it very well, to be honest with you. If you like giant robots, you only really have Mech Warrior, and in my opinion, Armored Core, now Daemon X Machina. If you're an Armored Core fan, you have to play Daemon X Machina. The story's pretty thin, but just play it. It's pretty solid. It is fun, even if it is cheesy and thin. It took me right. You know when you can literally play a game just because of nostalgia. It tickles that nostalgia itch.
Takes you right by. Oh, I remember games like this.
Yeah, and I was just like, I'd never thought I'd see a game like this ever again. And for that alone, I had to play it through to the end. Even when people in my chat were like, "No, you haven't finished it. You haven't unlocked every weapon." I was like, "Fuck you guys! I don't want to unlock every weapon. I didn't do that in Armored Core, like 2 or for Answer or anything. But just the fact that I got to see a little robot flying around and shooting the shit out of everything, and it was fun. And there was an ice cream shop. Don't ask me why, but ice cream's a thing.
Right, okay.
There were loads of things wrong with it. Things that were established and then taken away and then kind of patched over later on. But, I mean, for a game of that style, just go for it. Just go with it. Daemon X Machina, Nintendo Switch, 2019. The fact I could carry a game like that in my pocket, it was fucking rad. Give me MechWarrior 5 in my pocket and I'll be cool too. Just don't screw it up, please.
Please don't have screwed it up.
And maybe I want Elite Dangerous in my pocket too. Can I have that too, please?
There's a lot of controls of Elite Dangerous.
Yeah, but they made it for Xbox.
Yeah, true.
So somehow they managed to fuck up the controls enough to be able to allow you to play it on a pad.
You know when you get a game, it's like I need a printout of the controls to have next to me because this is a lot of controls.
That's how I felt with MechWarrior back in the day. I was like,
oh, I had overlays. I got the overlay kits. Yeah, I just had the overlays to stick at the key. I just had to blue.
I got a loose disc.
Oh my word!
I didn't know what to do. I was like, is there a manual or something that I can find? Yeah. I just had I had a disc.
I played MechWarrior. First MechWarrior game I played just using a mouse and keyboard. Because that was when you had to set your power level. Like you just numbers 1 to 10. So you had to your hands off the controls. Do
you remember the times when you had to actually like hit escape and go to controls to find out what the buttons were you had to press? Because there was no.
Oh mate, I do it all the time still now.
There was no tutorial. Learn, scrub.
I go through a game. I go to the keyboard. I reconfigure it to how I think I play the game, and when I play, I go, "Why did I put that control? That's stupid." I end up going back and change it again. Oh yeah.
I feel really daft like a lot of the times. Like gamers these days have no idea what it used to be like to play on PC.
If I get around to actually releasing a PC game, I've already determined it's going to be in a box, a big A4 box,
a big ass box.
It's going to come with an overlay.
Can I have a cloth map?
You can have a cloth map.
If you've got a big enough world, I want a map, and I want the magazine.
It's going to be a jewel case.
And
that will definitely, and I guarantee, will snap the second you open it.
I
promise you.
Have you got an R&D team working on the jewel case? Does anyone remember how to make really shit jewel cases? No, we fixed that back in the 2000s.
No.
Bollocks to that. I want the old ones from the 90s.
I want a big. Okay, good. I want a big. I'm going to have a manual that's ridiculously oversized. Do you remember when you get... I remember buying box
and that was my next
where
request.
The manual was like 150 pages long.
That was my next request. I want a big-ass manual. I want lore. I want drawings. I want all that shit in there.
The Mech Commander manual was 160-some pages long, I think. And I remember seeing it, and it was all background lore, like every unit type in depth. It was amazing. I spent about 2 days reading through it. It was amazing.
That was gaming.
They're going to get past the second level of the game. It was absolutely amazing.
The manual was better than the game, and that actually happened a lot.
But they were so good quality as well. They're so nice. And I think that's your dog.
That's fine.
They're so good. They're so just, yeah. I miss a big A4 box game. And of course, I have full embossing on it.
Mm-hmm.
Got to have full embossing. But yeah, if ever I release a game for their shops, that's going to have that.
Do it. Can't we just knock off like a MechWarrior game and just re-release that?
Yeah, we could do. Nick Warrior.
Go on then, what's your next game?
My next one. So talking about games types that you thought were dead and then someone managed to revive it. My next choice is The Walking Dead Telltale game series.
Like a point and clicky style.
No, it was yes and no. It wasn't. You navigated round using the arrow, using the WASD. You navigated round, but then when you got close, you used the mouse to point and click.
Mm-hmm.
So Walking Dead is a series of 4 main games with a couple bits of DLC added to it. And it's basically the story of a young girl called Clementine, who in the first game is a child who gets rescued by this guy called Lee, who you play as. The second game you play as her after Lee meets his end in the first game. Spoilers for the Walking Dead games, by the way. Bit late, but...
Also, was it last episode or episode before we had a bit of a spoiler fest for Walking Dead?
Third game you play as I forget his name. Javier.
I forgot about his name.
Javier. Anyway, I think it's Javier. Spanish guy, I think.
That guy.
Someone like that. You play as him, and you encounter Clementine as an NPC, and then you find her what sort of happened between the second game and that one. And the fourth game, you play as Clementine again, but she's got a young child with her who she's been looking after since the second game. And you basically, and it's just her sort of story. Mm-hmm. Episodic games, they're between 4 to 5 episodes per game. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's a little lovely, really well written. In fact, I can't say I've enjoyed all of them for the writing and the story. Yeah. Because the story is what keeps you going for these sort of adventure games. Because adventure games have pretty much died.
Yeah. Oh God, yeah.
And then Telltale brought them back. This wasn't the first one they did. I think the first one they did was the Batman's... Back to the Future.
Was it Back to the Future or Batman?
I thought it was Batman. Might have been Back to the Future.
Because the first ones I ever saw was Back to the Future. I'm sure that was Back to the Future.
I know Batman was... I'm sure Batman was before Walking Dead. Back to the Future was definitely before Walking Dead.
Back to the Future was on PlayStation 3.
Yes. Well, there you go. That's what dates it. But yeah, it's very straightforward. So these games rely on storylines to keep you going through them.
Yeah.
You know, the interactive. There's some puzzles in it. And there are puzzles. The puzzles aren't complicated. Because previous adventure games used to have really complicated puzzles in them. Yeah. They said that was not fun. We don't have puzzles that people are going to spend 2 hours. They want people to get through the story. And Telltale's whole shtick was you bought the game and it basically been 4 or 5 episodes, and they did dozens of different. Well, dozens probably a bit of exaggeration, but they did one for Minecraft, they did one for Game of Thrones, they did one for Batman, Back to the Future, they did one for The Wolf Among Us. They did loads of these sort of episodic games.
What was weird was they were always highly rated. But I was like, oh, this was really fun, and then they went bust.
Trouble I think they had was because Walking Dead they went bust just as the final one was due to come out, and had to be it was finished off by the people who actually owned the license, who licensed it to them. They actually got the team back to finish it and the voice actors back to finish it, which is really nice of them to do.
Yeah.
I think trouble was they never the games were too similar. They were still using, I think even right to the end, the same engine that was from they used in the original 2000 original games. Yeah. But the trouble was the engine was really hampering them. So if they wanted to have there's no physics simulation or anything in it. So if you wanted to have, say, something like bouncing down a set of stairs, you had to animate it step by step by step. You couldn't just let the physics engine do it for you and work it out. Well, that's hours of work for somebody.
No, I was going to say that.
So the engine was very dated.
I wasn't aware that was really even a problem for them. Because, I mean, but then everything was in engine, wasn't it? So.
Yeah, it was a massive issue for them. They were really anything complicated. They basically hand animate everything. Really, so that slowed down their production time. And these aren't something that's quick to do. You know, because there's a sort of quality things. You want people are buying these games for the quality storylines. So you have to maintain that. If you don't maintain it, people aren't going to buy it. I think basically they made too many of the same, all using the same basic system, and there was not enough to differentiate them. So people got bored of them.
Yeah,
they're like, these games are all just identical, and if the story was engaging enough, people just didn't play it.
Yeah,
Walking Dead's case, I think it's always good enough.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that came out at a time when there was like a Walking Dead fever on, wasn't there? People wanted the comics, they were watching like the TV show. There was
a time the TV show in the first season.
Oh, really?
Of Walking Dead, yeah. One of the characters you encounter, I think, in episode 1, leaves at the end of episode 1, or was it episode 2? Might have been episode 2 he left. And he actually then turns up in the TV series.
Oh, wow.
And you also visit one of the same locations in the TV series. You go to Henschel's farm. in Walking Dead Season 1, and that's the same place they go in the TV series, again, sort of early on. So there is some tie early on, but other than that, the Walking Dead games take place in a different area of the TV series, so they're their own thing.
Yeah.
They are separate from that. I would say probably better than the TV series now, because that TV series is like a zombie. It's been shambling on for a long time.
It's been beaten to death at this point.
Yeah, it's generally regarded as bad.
I mean,
think
I haven't. I'm going to be honest with you. As far as Walking Dead is concerned, I have very little interest in it.
Never seen it.
But so many people I know absolutely bummed it, and it's like, but it's going on and on and on. How much story can they drag out of it all these years later?
I remember when people were saying that Season 2 was nowhere near as good as Season 1, and just people say that, Season 1 was the only one worth watching. And it's like, it's not on Season 10 now.
And so how is it still going?
It's like The Simpsons. How's that still going?
Well, it's weird though, isn't it? Because these are all American shows, and American shows they get cancelled for fuck all.
Yeah, but also,
so how are they still going?
Obviously, so they make enough money off it.
Who is stoned or dead and still has their TV turned on to that particular channel?
Someone who's worth Nelson ratings, obviously.
Ah, Jesus.
But yeah, they were beautiful storylines. They are definitely, even now, you can pick them up sort of.
They're on some consoles, because we both spoke about this in, was it the last episode or episode before, that they kind of faded off.
You can get the Collector's Edition that has all the episodes in it.
Some of them are still available on some platforms, but not all Telltale content is available where it used to be. The Minecraft game, for example, is no longer available digitally on the Nintendo Switch store. But the Walking Dead one is.
It's probably all licensing issues.
Yeah, for sure.
Because Skybound Entertainment stepped in and basically took the license back on to finish it off. I expect the issue of Minecraft, because obviously Microsoft own that. All these other series, who has the license for these? And
which is kind of sad when you start looking at developing a game based on someone else's property. We mentioned it when we were talking about Walking Dead before. Stuff like Legend of Korra and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. All of these cracking games that just because they belong, the license, the characters belong to someone else, they're gone. They fade away as soon as the licensing agreement has got up. They're gone.
Yeah, because not worth renewing the license.
Yeah.
To keep it going.
Which is, I personally think it's unfortunate. I think one of the more recent ones was DuckTales. There was a DuckTales remastered game, which was a rebuild of an NES title. From moons and moons and moons and moons ago. Everyone loved it. Rebooted it. I don't know how many years ago. Sometime in the last 5 or 10 years or something. Everyone loved the reboot. And then the license seems to have faded away and it got pulled from a lot of platforms. It's really sad 'cause it was a really good game. Loads of people are not going to have the chance to play those games just because of silly licensing things.
No, we're very fortunate. Walking Dead's very, very lucky, actually, to survive that. I think also the reason I love it as much as well that you can buy and you could probably play through all these episodes in the course of a few days.
Yeah.
I don't recommend that. Or I say, fine, play through a season. You can play for a whole season a session, that's fine. But I wouldn't play for them because they do work well if you have a bit of a rest between them. I think the reason why it got to me when I finished it a lot, it really did get to me actually when I played the last episode. Mm-hmm. Was because I've been playing them since 2013.
Yeah.
I didn't play them when they first came out. I played them about a year later. I was actually, not long after we started doing podcasts, I was really sick. Mm-hmm. I had whooping cough many years ago.
Oh, I remember.
And I had a week off work, and I had nothing to do, but I had a Steam library. So,
as you do.
So I literally just played through The Walking Dead from first season, from episode 1, all the way through, including the DLC, in one day. Mm-hmm. Literally, I started about 9 in the morning, and I was still playing about 2 a.m. the next morning. Mm-hmm. And that's why I loved it so much. So, yeah, I definitely say they are worth playing through in a session. You want to, but then of course it was 3 years between each one. I played them playing, so it got quite emotional because you're sort of experiencing it. It's sort of you've grown up with it.
Yeah.
So playing it all through in one go, I don't think you'll quite get that. But
you almost got a bit of a nostalgia kick. The anticipation was building up for the next one, and then when it came, you're like,
I really put off playing the 4th season. Really put it off. Because I didn't want it to end.
Oh, fair. That's fair. It's unfortunate that it is over, but then you don't want a series to keep going and going and going. And
The only saving grace is, one, they got to finish it.
yeah.
And two, it was always intended to be the final chapter of Clementine's story.
Yeah.
So,
But then at least they didn't say, let's make another one based on another character, because
oh, they could.
they could, but
The
then
option's there.
it's good that they haven't
Yeah.
at this point.
Yeah, they said it was going to be the final chapter of Clementine's story, is what they said they're going to be, and it's exactly what it is. It is her final chapter. And what happens, I won't spoil for you. So, yeah, Walking Dead, my third choice.
I want to throw out there, so many of these are really hard to talk about because you don't want to drop spoilers, even though they are, some of them are quite old series. I mean, Daemon X Machina, I could go into some of the really interesting parts of the story, but if you do, you ruin it for people. So, I don't know.
The penultimate choice, Skazz.
Oh, this is tough. This is really tough because I have got a list here.
No, at the end we'll have the honour roll call at the end. And you can...
Could I just quickly, folks who are listening to this, please just wait for 1 second. I need to check one of my games because I'm so torn, and there's one I just if there is an option for it, I don't want to let it go. Please, 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 please. Well, Power Regions 2010.
Oh, I'll let you have that.
Oh, yeah.
I'll let you have the Power Region.
So, oh, thank you so much. Because if not, that would have become my cheat game. So I've got quite a list here of games, but there's one that was, or a series that has been resonating with me for a long time. That is it's become a meme, really, even though it's not true. I want to say the Souls series.
Aren't they really hard?
Bollocks, mate. Learn the patterns. So, everyone has heard this game is Dark Souls hard. Like, this is the Dark Souls of platformers. This is the Dark Souls of RPGs.
No. All platformers are the Dark Souls of hardness.
These platformers are all the Dark Souls of darkness.
The only way to complete a platform these days, you've got to be 5 years old. That's the only way you can beat a platform.
Well, having those super fast, like, sugar-filled reflexes.
Exactly. But our age, we've got no hope of completing platforms.
Because we're, like, so old. We're like, what? What do you mean we have to press a what button? Oh god, there were only 2 buttons when I was.
I've got to do 12 jumps in a row, but each time perfectly.
Oh my god, I can't do this. Trash game, shit. Snap the disc. Or we don't have discs anymore. Snap the SSD.
You sat there, you're throwing my face, say, Theo, can you come do this bit for me, please?
Mate, I often have that with my children now. I got royally thrashed. My kids for Christmas. My big man Doodle, William, he got Sonic and Mario at the Winter Olympics or something, which is just like loads of shitty mini sports games, but with Mario and Sonic characters. No way in realistic. It's all timing based and stuff, or like button mashing, or press buttons in sequence, rotate the stick, then press X, A, and you got to time it all right. Daft as balls. He wrecked the shit out of me, and I felt so old.
Those reactions.
Because I was looking at it, I was like, X button. Wait, what? No, hang on. Oh, shit, which button's that? No, that's not... Oh, no, I lost!
You're getting old when you start doing controller steering. People playing racing and they start doing this.
That's how I felt. Like, because obviously I play on loads of different platforms, so I haven't actually... I'm going to be honest with you. Even though the Nintendo Switch controls are basically Super Nintendo controls, I didn't remember Super Nintendo controls by what the letter was. I remembered them by what colour they were. So, like, for example...
Where's the blue button?
That's it. Like, Super Nintendo, B was yellow. On the Switch, it's B. And I'm like, I don't know how to do this.
You got some paint.
But then when you go on to, like, Xbox...
Y is yellow.
No, Y is yellow, but the same button where B is A.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, what button is this? I don't know where the buttons are. Or you play on PlayStation... And B on a Nintendo pad, or A on an Xbox, you dickheads, becomes X. And I'm like, I don't know where. And then my son just wrecked the shit out of me because I was too old to button. I was too old to control pad. I felt like such a geezer. So as far as timing and platform, I was like, dude, seriously, just look, you've won, alright? I give up on all games now. You've won. You're better than me. I'm old. It's over.
You're my age, and you've got kids.
And they're like, shut up, old man. And I'll be like, oh, that's what I said too.
In my day, young laddie.
Back in my day, with my cane and my floppy disks.
Yeah. We had proper light guns.
Bless my kids. They saw vinyl records for like the first time a couple months back. It's just like a big DVD. I was like, what? No, mate. Music. CD then. No. Well, close maybe. Like,
no, I would actually give them that because let's face it, the only difference between a CD and a record is
that you can't put the stylus on the CD because I'm just making.
Yes, but the stylus of the CD is a laser.
Well, yeah. I just thought it was really. I thought it was really cute. If they just said laser disc,
and it's obviously digital, not analog data.
Yeah, and usually really crappily mastered.
I know what you're talking about. I use wax cylinder.
Oh, fucking hell!
I mean, you and your pose of your vinyl.
Yeah, look at you guys with your fucking shellac records.
Yeah, Mr. Modern over here with his vinyl.
Scrub. Check this out. Wow.
I have a string quartet that plays my music.
Yeah, I have them sat in my living room playing live every time.
Yeah.
Beethoven's Fifth.
Today I'd like to play the Dishonored theme.
Not Wagner. But yeah, I felt. Oh god, I felt so old. But
I wish to have Dragon Force through the fire and the flames.
Fuck me.
Watch out on the cello.
Can I throw out that? I almost gave Dragon Force a clap because I'm not a huge fan of Dragon Force, to be honest with you. They're like the resurgence of power metal and speed metal. I actually gave Dragon Force just a light clap because they did a cover of one of my favourite bands, one of the favourite songs by my favourite band. Apparently on their new album, they did a cover of the song Evil Dead by the band Death. And I was like, wait, what? Oh, they really did it. I mean, they changed it, so you've ruined it, but good job. You're pointing people towards good music. Power metal leads people to death metal. I'm proud of you. So yeah, Demon Souls, Dark Souls. I mean, how would you explain? Have you played any of the Dark or Demon Souls games? No. Oh shit. Okay.
I know. Again, I've got a bit of cultural osmosis. I know bits and pieces about them. I know in Dark Souls you can like leave messages for people.
Right. So I'm not gonna go hardcore into story. If I had to be honest, I'm just gonna go a little bit into mechanics and say that if you've never played, I mean, you had by this point, everyone has played a Souls style game. Modern games that I can think of are something like, is it Ashen's or something like that? That's just come out on Xbox and PlayStation. I think it's now out on Switch. Neo. That one was a pretty solid Souls knockoff, I suppose. So in the Souls series, you are effectively dead. You are a hollow. And you travel this land where it doesn't matter what land it is, to be honest with you. You get hit, you die. And you will die very easily unless you learn patterns, because to you, enemies are OP as pish. If you don't know an enemy is coming, a couple of archers will screw you up with no problem at all, or you will be walking up a flight of stairs and a little minion will push a boulder down the stairs and that's 2/3 of your health gone. Health items are few and far between. You know, death is around every corner. It was one of those games where you couldn't mash to win, which infuriated so many gamers because mashing was kind of the thing to do. You know, you got to think, like, there was a time when games used to be kind of hard, And then we started going through this period of games getting easier and easier and easier to the point you could just leave the control pad on the floor and the game would finish itself.
Yeah.
Souls was one of those games where if you didn't learn what the enemy was going to do, you died. And so they became kind of known as these super hard style games. They're not. Just watch out for what the enemy is doing. Like Monster Hunter. A lot of people said Monster Hunter is very hard. I put Monster Hunter and Souls on the same platform. The enemy is about to swing. They have been telegraphing it for the last 10 minutes. Dodge out of the way. You know, that kind of groove. As you killed enemies, they would drop souls, which were like the currency that you would use to level up. If you died, you would lose all of the souls that you'd collected up to that point. You would then be given the chance to get back to where your corpse was, where you died, so you could pick them back up. If you died between the point... If you died and you hadn't picked up your souls again, you lost them. They're gone. So you could lose, like, you know, hours of experience and progress in a heartbeat.
Can you like store the souls like anywhere? Like, can you like sort of like?
No, you carry them and you use them, or you lose them. You know, it was interesting for the time. Had beautiful music, beautifully crafted worlds, and inspired many a kind of spin-offy style games. You had, as I said, like Ashen's. You had Neo. Bloodborne was another one made by From Software, with the guys who did Demon Souls and Dark Souls.
Pan the arse to Google.
They've been remade. So the Dark Souls games have had like Dark Souls Remastered. There have been many a game in the series. What was it? There was another game like Dead Cells. I think they said, "Oh yeah, this is a Dark Soulsy hard style game." Honestly, learn the patterns. They're slow paced. You know, they adapt to many different play styles. So you could be like a lightly armored, fast, roguish style guy that you do very little damage, but if you get behind the enemy, you can hit them with a crit and do massive damage. You could be heavily armored, so you move really slowly. Your dodge is pretty ineffective. But if you hit an enemy, you do reasonable damage. If they hit you, as long as your armor's good, you're all right. Dark Souls was Dark and Demons. There were games like you'd walk around a corner, and as I say, an environmental hazard could kill you. A guy pushes a boulder down the stairs, or you go to run across a big, what looks like an open bridge. Archers could pelt you full of arrows, or fuck knows, mate, a dragon turns up and just burns everything that's on the bridge, you included, and you'd have to find a way to get past it. It was an interesting world, an interesting series, a tough one to explain considering I always thought that everyone knew of and had played Dark and Demons. Shamefully, Demons hasn't had a release outside of PlayStation 3, but I recommend everyone take a crack at a Souls style game, even if it isn't Dark or Demons. They're fun, they're not hard. Learn how to play, be quick on your feet. Don't just run in there because you will die. I did a mini stream of one years ago, and my friend was like, "Wow, what the fuck?" Like, I was just running through. I always play as, you get to pick a class at the start, so you get to pick a knight or, you know, a thief or whatever, and that will dictate what stuff you get at the start and kind of your base stats. So you'd spend souls to upgrade your stats. And you could steal items from fallen enemies. A lot of people would pick Knight or Crusader, or like, I can't remember if Crusader was actually the thing, but they'd always pick like some heavily armored fuck, and they'd go, like, by Dark Souls 3, like, this is the first Dark Souls I've played. Dark Souls isn't hard. No, it isn't, but it doesn't help that you've walked into the first boss fight with a fucking giant hulking guy with massive, like, plate armor and everything. I always played the class called Deprived. Deprived meant I ran into battle in my underpants. So, you know, you didn't start with any armor. That's what made the game fun, because I would have to fight. Even really simple, weak enemies could just take me out. You know, they'd run up to you, they'd stab you, crit, you're dead. Try again. you actually had to think. You'd have to come up with different strategies to navigate through certain areas so you didn't get completely murdered. You could skip entire enemies out. They were quite open. Interesting worlds. Try them. I just can't explain them. When you hear Dark Souls hard, just know people are talking shit. They've never played a classic game in their life.
Fair enough.
So, Ram, play a Souls game.
I will do.
I love those games, though. Love them.
So you're so pleased that you had to get it on the list.
Yeah, mate. Honestly, I was ecstatic at that point. They were Demon Souls and Dark Souls were birthday presents, back in the day, and I loved them so much. I loved them just because people said they were hard, and they weren't, but they were still fun because I could understand why people would think they were hard. Don't run at enemies. Like, don't run at... Think of a game when you're really overpowered. You've played Warhammer 40k Space Marine, haven't you?
No.
No? Alright, think of a game that you've played where you're stupidly overpowered, and like, say, 5 guys can run at you and you just take them out no problem, or 10 guys can run at you and you take them out with very little effort.
Deus Ex?
Sure, I guess. I remember that being a bit tougher than just being able to take out,
That's just skilled like me.
Well, yeah, but like there are a lot of games out there where you literally just press a button, your character does this impressive move, and like 5 or 10 guys that have just rushed you just die. That's not how Dark Souls works. Like, every tiny enemy at the start can cause serious damage, and to me that was neat. A lot of players at the time would just run in, mash buttons, they'd swing, they'd miss, and the enemy would just hit them with a crit, or walk behind them and do them in, or arrow them to the face. It was great. Anyway, you were saying.
Right. So my next game, my penultimate game, is Soma.
All right.
It's the only game on the list that isn't part of a series. I nearly put Amnesia down.
Why not?
I felt Soma actually although it's not part of the Amnesia series, it's Amnesia-like and actually improves things so many ways. It's sort of the honourable part of the series, although it's got nothing to do with the Amnesia games. It is a new game.
Okay.
Amnesia would be valid. Amnesia was 2010, so Amnesia is valid. But I felt Soma was the one. This is one I think because being more sci-fi focused, it's the one I enjoyed the most. Soma, you play as Simon Jarrett, and you are a guy. It's a normal guy living in 2015, which is when the game was released, and you have a car accident. Just before the game is, and as part of the car accident, you've got some brain damage. And this guy you meet says, "I might be able to." It's an experimental process. I might be able to prepare your brain damage. What we're basically going to do is do a whole scan of your entire brain, and then that scan is then going to be used, like, run simulations on, and then we can work out the best course of treatment, and we're going to go from there. So you go and you go to his place, you go to hospital, you sit down on the machine, you have the scan, and some clone noises, and then when the thing revives, you are no longer in the hospital, you are in what they find out as an underwater base.
Right.
And Soma is it's a horror game, it's a philosophical game, it's basically about what is consciousness.
Yeah.
What is it? And the whole game is, and it's one of the few games that have actually made me think. They presented it so well, and they explore the in and outs idea of this thing, the idea of brain downloading, all sorts of stuff, and what actually means from you as the point of view of it having happened. Yeah, it explores that so deeply, and it really does make you question about what actually, if that was true, what would that actually mean? What was consciousness? As you go around the facility, and you encounter these other, like, things called mockingbirds, which is where the kaput of the AI, and the AI is not a bad. What I thought was near about is the AI is not bad. It's trying its best. It's been given a directive to do, which is save humanity, and it's trying. Yeah, but it doesn't think like we do. Of course so not. It thinks it's achieving its goal, But the side effect of this is it makes it basically an absolute horrific situation to be in, because it doesn't know any better.
No.
So
It's gone for the quickest, most logical way to the end point, which is really what an AI is going to do, even though it's not the most ideal situation for a human.
The objective it was given was maintain, survey the size of humanity, maintain them. Mm-hmm. Best way to do that.
Doesn't say that you have to be completely conscious and living a happy, healthy life. You just have to be alive.
Yeah, indeed, you've come across people who have just been like entombed by this AI, and they're unconscious, but they're alive. Mm-hmm. That's achieving its goal.
Yeah.
It's also realising that humans are quite squishy. What if we downloaded all these people's brains? All these people have had their brains scanned. What if we download them into robots?
Yeah.
Robots are a lot tougher than humans.
Yep.
Perfect. And that's what it does. Unfortunately, when you download a human into a robot, they tend to go slightly mad, because their consciousness is not designed to work in a robot. So,
no, well, imagine that kind of freak out that 1 minute you're a human, the next thing you know, you look at your hand and you've got some random robot fucking digits.
Yeah, well, you come across there's like the first sort of like the first sort of area. You come across a guy who's been downloaded to a robot, and he will not believe you when you tell him he's a robot. He tells you basically, "Don't be so fucking stupid."
Yeah,
and you say to him like, he's basically a robot that's caught, like, it's basically sort of like, he says, "I'm trapped," and he come and help me because he's basically stuck on a production line,
or he's a toaster.
Yeah. He hasn't got any sort of. He just says, "I'm trapped." You come get someone to help me, and he will not accept that he's a robot. Mm-hmm. But why would he?
No.
As far as he's concerned, he's just suddenly there, and makes sense to him, and he won't accept. You come across all the time. It really explores it, and it's a very bleak world, because it's set after sort of an apocalypse. Mm-hmm. Again, it's all stuff you find out quite early on. I'm not sort of spoiling anything here. It's all stuff you find out very early on. And it's saying it's post-apocalypse, and asteroids hit Earth and wiped everybody. The only people who left are people on this underwater base, because they are so far below the ocean, nothing could kill them. They were safe from all the stuff above. And
how lucky, or unlucky, is the case.
Well, very unlucky, because then because the source background story is this all happened, and it was shortly after this that the computers started doing weird things. And they suddenly started realising, hang on, this isn't right. Because at first it seemed they thought they would just they didn't know what to do really, because they thought they were just going to basically starve to death down there, but they wouldn't, because they've got enough cities to keep going for years and years and years. It's a really bleak environment, and the main story comes along, and you get this this isn't really a major spoiler, because it's all the main part of the game is this girl called Catherine, who's your main companion for most of the game. She'll come along and talk to you for the game. She developed this artificial environment called the Ark, and basically she was copying people's brains, upload them into the Ark, and the Ark was going to send to space where it would be powered by satellites, and basically these people could live out like eternity in this environment to basically save them all from this sort of basically long drawn out death. Mm-hmm. But in this virtual world. And it's all exploring all this sort of idea, because when the people get put in, because one thing that Simon is very stupid. He can't get a head round. She explains to him about 5 times. Right from the start she explains to him, it's all about copies.
Yeah.
No one gets, it's not copy and paste, or cut and paste, it's copy and paste. So people get scanned, and the scan stops, and they go, well, why the fuck am I still here? I'm meant to be in the Ark. She goes, but a copy of you is.
Yeah.
You're not. The original isn't, but a copy of you isn't. But from the copy's point of view, hey, it worked. I'm now in the Ark.
Yeah, that's it. It's so I wanted to say that to start with. It's like, oh, so you've just had a brain injury. They've scanned your brain, and they're going to do the things that they need to do to reconnect everything. But effectively, that guy is dead.
Oh, he's long dead by the game.
You're dead, but you're not dead, because there's a copy of your brain floating about somewhere.
Yeah.
So, as an example, I think we've had this discussion before of if it came to it, how would I feel to having my brain scanned and put into something else? Well, at the end of the day, I'm still going to die.
Yeah.
Like, I am still going to experience death. There may be another kind of version of me out there, but it's not.
But from that version's point of view,
It's me.
yeah.
Yeah. But I would still have to know the fear of death.
Yes.
Even if the other thing didn't. Even if it itself thought it was me.
Yeah.
And then there could be a copy of it, which...
But you say it thinks it's you, but for all intents and purposes, if it's
It
identical, it is you.
Yeah.
So it's really... It's a very interesting philosophical storyline to it, and it's really depth, and it's one of the few games I've played that I've actually thought. It's made me actually question these questions, but what does it actually mean to be conscious? Would you accept brain uploading? Would you accept uploading yourself so there's like a version of you for all eternity? Eventually, would you see it as pointless because you're not going to survive, but then a version of you is going to survive?
See, for me personally, and I can answer this straight out, for me personally, I would say it's pointless because the physical being, me, still has to experience death.
Yeah.
Even if there is a copy of me out there, the consciousness that exists here will fade away.
Yeah.
Even though other people will be able to experience my likeness elsewhere.
See, but I'm pro it. I'll do it. Even though because I know there'd be a version of me that would carry on. But I'm all for transhumanism and so forth. I'm all pro that. I'm all idea that if you could have a robotic limb that was better than your own.
Yeah, which is fair. I can understand why people would, but I think that a lot of people would say, as you say, as like the main character, they're a bit thick, and they would because you understand you will die, but a version of you will live on.
Yeah.
I fear a lot of people won't quite understand.
Well, this happens in the game.
Yeah.
This is exactly what happens in the game. When the people being done, people don't get that. They get very angry. I mean, some guy has this weird idea that the way to solve this is as soon as you've had your brain scanned, you commit suicide. Because as soon as you do that, it's like you've got a continuity, and there's only one continuity because the brain scan.
It's not.
No, you see, that's You see, that's his theory, and a lot of people they have to suspend the scan because people keep killing themselves straight after being scanned.
What a Burke.
Yeah, so it's a really neat game. It's really worth playing through. It's so in depth and story. You can play it in two ways. You can play a standard version. You can also play what they call the non-scary version. Basically, you can choose as an option when you play the game to disable the enemy's AI.
All right, so you can just wander about.
They're still there. They wander around, but they're not. They don't attack you. So if you want to get in depth on the story, but you don't want to be attacked, and because that's the choice, because basically anywhere there's story stuff, you could potentially be attacked or chased or so forth. That's one way around it. You can just do this thing and you can play the game that way. One other neat thing about it, which I thought was very neat, is you're not encountering the same enemies in every area. Each area has its own distinct enemy with a background and story behind them, and then once you move past the area, you don't encounter them again.
Sure.
So which is neat.
Yeah, I
agree. And you're sort of encountering the Kapua system, the WoW as it's called, is trying different things. And it's really I strongly would recommend people give it a go. It's a stealth survival horror. You can't fight back. You can't shoot. You've got no weapons. You have to be stealthy and take your time and work your way around enemies and so forth. Sometimes the only option is to run, but even that's sort of risky. You have to think about it. So it's not an action. It's a very slow-paced, stealth-based game. Takes about 10-12 hours. It's about right for this sort of game, but as it's the only game on my list that's not a series, I strongly recommend
Would you recommend people, if they usually bounce off stealth games, play it in Nug mode to...
Oh, that's a toughie. If you don't like the survival stuff like that, you probably won't like it because there's a lot of... Unless you decide to play the no enemy hostility mode, and then you don't have to worry about that because you can walk around. The enemies are still there, they wander about, but they don't come after you.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's two bits which are scripted where you get chased. They're scripted, you have to have those chases.
Yeah.
But that's the only two bits you have to worry about.
That's fair.
So
That's fair.
yeah. Right. So
Good job. So is this going to be your you've got one more?
I've got my final cheat game.
You've got your cheat game. Right. Well,
My
this
cheat
isn't.
game.
I'm not gonna because I was torn. If I had to be honest, there are 3 games on this list that really, really hit hard for me. One of them is just because it's a goofy series like Hyperdimension Neptunia. Another one is another style of game that I thought was dead, but made a pretty big push. I mean, it was a game that almost, in my opinion, brought visual novels to the mainstream. And another one, it's just been super fun for me ever since I first played it. And I resonate quite nicely with the character. Can I just give a brief on all 3?
Yes. Okay.
Okay, because you've got a cheat game. I don't really have a cheat game at this point. So, excuse me. Steins Gate. Right, it's a visual novel title. Had a very popular anime series. It's had tons of spin-offs. It's recently just had a full series of releases on Nintendo Switch in the UK. Oh, hang on.
Want to become famous? Buy followers on followerbot.com. No.
Thank you for offering. No.
No. People can tell when you're being followed by bots. No one's fooled by that. People can tell. No, don't be silly. Go away.
We're too hardcore for that. You know what? It's really weird, actually. That some streaming services, I've never had bots talk before in, like, say, Twitch or Mix or anything like that. But now, rather than having bots DM you or just sit in your chat, they now actually they now participate in chat. It's really, really weird. It's something quite recent for me, at least. Yeah, Steins Gate. It's... Oh.
Congratulations, lads. You're big enough for the spam bots to have a crack at you.
There you go. We're pro now.
Yeah, we're big
2020 is our year.
Big enough for spam bots to have a go at us. Small enough that the spam bots have a go at us because they realise that we need followers.
Yeah, we're too shit to get our own followers. Yeah, Steins Gate is a visual novel. Now, visual novels have been around for a long old time, but in a lot of cases they bounced off people. If I had to be honest, the last big mainstream visual novel, and there are going to be so many people right now that shit their pants because I air quote.
Evening's over.
Was oh fuck, now I forgot what it was called. Snatcher, which was a Hideo Kojima game released on the Sega CD.
Is it a police-based game?
Yeah, you basically... Blade Runner. It's Blade Runner. With a Hideo Kojima twist, I guess. You make choices, stuff happens based on choices, story happens, and all that cheese. Steins Gate, I've gushed over a few times, is a time travel sci-fi game where basically this one guy and a small group of his friends are goofing around trying to come up with inventions to try and change the world, and they accidentally come up with a way to send messages to the past, and in doing so start trying to kind of influence things to change people's lives, then understand, oh shit, even the smallest change has, massive consequences.
Who knew fucking around with time was a bad idea?
Yeah, exactly. And then they find that maybe there's a big bad organisation that's been watching them the entire time who has also been trying to do the same thing, and then it's a case of them trying to... It turns out there's there's millions and millions of different timelines. They are now trying to find the perfect one where they all get out of it in one piece. It's very nicely... I'll be honest, when I first saw Steins Gate, I wasn't a fan of the art style, but then it grew on me and I really liked it. I love goofy time travel stories. I like choose your own adventure style stories too. I'd played a lot of goofy off-color Japanese visual novels over my time. But to see Steins Gate came out in North America in 2014, which surprised me. It hit as a PlayStation 3 game, and just people jumped at it. They loved it. It was one of the first visual novels other than Snatcher that had hit mainstream, and like Daemon X Machina, it was a style of game I thought was long dead. Outside of like the niche followings of anime nutcases that licked their waifus, their like little body pillows and stuff. It had drama CDs. It was one of those. It was a game that became an anime, and the anime became very popular. It had drama CDs, so audio CDs with stories. It had spin-off games. It ended up getting a full sequel anime as well. Really strong series with, in my opinion, really likable characters. Neat story, neat writing. It was rad, and the fans, depending on the time period, early on, the fans were pretty hardcore because a lot of the content was Japanese only, and if you wanted to get the full story, fans would translate it, release it in a different form. So the drama CDs got animated in the style of the game and released on the internet for people to watch. So it would, you'd have the audio track. They'd pull sprites from the games, put translated text in as if it was the game, and you'd watch them through. That was kind of neat. Now, a lot of the original kind of translators of the stuff hate them now because Steins Gate has been milked to death, as it's part of the Science Adventure trilogy, which was Chaos Head, Steins Gate, and Robotics Notes. Chaos Head got literally thrown into the pit, although it did eventually get a sequel called Chaos Child, which I don't think sold very well either. And Robotics Notes, which is a pretty solid series, got an anime, but the game itself got left in Japan, which is sad, because it was also quite fun. Fun styles of games. I really like the characters. I own them on near enough every platform they came out on. As I say, they started as a game and became everything else. Oddly enough, for a series so popular, it started in Japan on Xbox, which was Japan's least popular console of the time.
Bizarre.
Yeah, visual novel on
An Xbox.
On an Xbox. Next one, another kind of series that had a goofy resurgence, Senran Kagura, which was another goofy anime game in the vein of Hyperdimension Neptunia. You couldn't play it seriously, where imagine a Dynasty Warriors style game where there's hundreds of enemies on screen, you're a really overpowered unit, and you just go in and the idea is beat everyone. Senran Kagura, you play as a big-titted ninja girl from like a big-titted ninja high school. There was a goofy story, didn't really matter. It was one of those typical friendship stories. Nothing is better than the power of friendship, so even your mortal enemies will somehow become your friends because reasons. It became somewhat popular because as your characters got beat the shit out of, or as you beat enemy characters, their clothes would rip. It ended up having kind of a crossover style game with Hyperdimension Neptunia. So Senran Kagura style games were made with Neptunia characters, and Senran Kagura characters have recently been put into some fighting games. So, like actual 2D sprite fighting games. So that was a fun one. Huge series. It's had quite a few games, quite a few spin-offs. Not all of them the same. I think recently it's had a pinball game. So before it was like literally a third person. Imagine there's like 70 people on the screen. You're one character. You beat all of them up. You just run in and you press like, the attack button over and over and over again. You can just mash and win. With goofy story being thrown in to the sides. Like, oh, we're the right... we should win because whatever reason, we have the biggest tits or something, I don't know. Yeah, like you laugh. That's practically, some of the characters' motivation. Like, but I've got no tits, but I'm part of this school, so I have to win because of reasons. Whatever. Silly, goofy, just Play them if you like Dynasty Warrior style games. Play them if you like big-titted anime characters. Play them if you like really goofy stories of friendship and superpowers because of friendship. You're going to lose. Everyone's going to die. But because your best friend has great hope in you and is certain...
I honestly thought you could say your best friend's got great tits.
Yes, your best friend has great tits, and you don't want the world to lose such a great pair of tits. You have to win. And so you do, because all of a sudden tits give you the power to win. And win. Tits. Right. Had an anime series, like I said, loads of spin-offs. It's been on tons of different platforms. Shamefully, though, they became popular on PlayStation. That was their kind of main platform. Sony have been very against that style, like fan servicey style games in recent history. The creator of Senran Kagura, one of the main people behind it, have said the series is effectively dead at this point because Sony are just going to censor the fuck out of everything. They have had releases on PC and remakes on PC. Oddly enough, actually, they started on Nintendo DS. The DS box for them, remember, Nintendo, family-friendly company, the box art, depending on what region you were in, was a ninja scroll, just a scroll being pushed out of a cleavage. That instant greatness there. That was when they were 2D fighting games like Streets of Rage and like other kind of beat 'em up style games, Streets of Rage, Golden Axe, stuff like that. Don't really want to go into the mechanics because they change every game. Depending on what style you play, the DS games have a different type of mechanic to the PS2 games, have a different kind of mechanic to the water fighting game, which have a different kind of mechanic to the pinball game. Pick one up, see if you bounce off it. They're on a few different platforms. PC gamers are picking them up these days. They're quite nice. Cheap on PlayStation, some on Nintendo Switch, some on DS. Take a crack at it. But I have to give this one best game, full stop, of the last decade, Azura's Wrath. Now, have I mentioned Azura's Wrath on stream?
You probably must have done. I don't think we've ever talked about it as a play.
I think I said I might have played it recently because I first played Azura's Wrath. My wife bought it for my birthday one year, if I remember rightly. And it's kind of one of my coveted games because it sits with Dark Souls, and right now it's lost. Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Azura's Wrath are in a tank bag that I used to have on my motorcycle. We were moving house, and I didn't want to lose them because I love them so much. I put them in a separate box and bag from everything else, and it's gone. So, Azura's Wrath is a weird one to explain. It's a linear, story-driven fighting game, I guess. Azura's Wrath is everything in gaming I should hate. Okay? It's linear. It's chock full of quick time events. But I love the story and the characters so much that I overlook all of its faults. So much so that it becomes one of my favourite games of the last decade. You play as the demigod Azura. He represents Wrath. And the idea is that the demigods are trying to fight, without going into too much depth, pretend they're demons. There are demons rocking around the planet, killing humans, and it's the demigod's job to try and defend their followers. And there is a demon or a creature that inhabits the planet, and Azura goes down and is like, right, we're losing, but I'm going to rock in there and I'm going to just punch the planet. The creature literally spawns out of the planet. Azura goes down with his mate, punches the thing, they win the battle, rockin'. You all go back up to where the demigods live to celebrate. This is actually based on an actual story of gods, but we're not going to go into it. They go back up and they all celebrate. However, one of the demigods isn't happy with the way this is going and believes there's a better way than just randomly getting into skirmishes with these creatures. And he plans to kill the leader, like the big boss in charge, and manipulate the systems to his own gain. He becomes all powerful, and they'll find another way to take out the beast, because he doesn't think there's a way they can realistically do it as it stands. They have like the super powerful weapon. He doesn't think as it stands it's quite good enough, but there's another way they can harvest people. They can harvest worshippers' souls to make the thing more powerful, to eventually hopefully have a chance to actually wipe this thing out, wipe out the ultimate evil forever. He frames Azura for the killing of the big top guy in charge. And so they kill Azura's wife, and they take his daughter hostage. His daughter is like the priestess that kind of effectively channels the prayers of the people and gives powers to the demigods. With Azura out of the way, they can do what the fuck ever they want with his daughter. Before they had to be kind of friendly, she had freedom. At this point, they frame him. He's knocked back down to earth, or literally wrecked by the end. The main head of the demigods, sent back down to earth, effectively dead. They then trap his daughter for centuries to use her to channel souls. Azura wakes up and he's pissed. And the game takes place episodically, even though it wasn't released in episodes, but there's an intro. You play a little bit of game, and then there's an outro, like a credit sequence. And then the next part of the game will then go, what happened in the last episode? Play a bit of the game, a credit run. It's really neat and done in an almost anime-esque style. As I say, it's littered with quick time events. Enemies will come up to you. You might have to hit X button, hit the triangle button, hit square, whatever it is, whatever platform you're playing it on. I remember playing it back in the day, and thoroughly enjoying it, because I relate to Azura. He's a father who has literally been robbed of everything. I was just like, how would I be if someone decided that they would rob me of everything and then frame me for it? And then just basically abuse my family. I'd be fucking pissed, and I'd want to rip them in half. And that is literally what Azura does. The gods become lazy and almost, they're gluttonous. They're like, well, we're gods. We can do what the hell ever we want to our followers. Azura is still very much of the old way, that he wants what's best for the people. The gods, the demigods, are like, we're just going to kill them. We need their souls. They've pledged, they've pledged their loyalty to us. If they get killed whilst we're down there defending them from the demons or whatever, and they'll pray harder. They will literally just stand there and get killed by us, just so that we can become more powerful to win or whatever. Which then fuels Azura's rage, which goes on and on and on. It is a tough one to explain, because as I say, it is everything I hate about a video game. Quick time events, really linear. The story is long-winded as fuck, but last year I re-downloaded the game because it was made available digitally on the Xbox One, because it was an Xbox 360 and PS3 game. And I love that story. It's just a story of betrayal, love, friendship, and punching the fucking planet, and everyone has to play it. Do it.
Cool.
You honestly, mate, I can't explain the gameplay other than quick time ridden. And then linear. Music's solid, combat's a bit flaky at times, but you grow to love the characters. It's got multiple endings. It's got a few crossover DLCs. I'd never seen the crossover DLCs when I first played it, so this kind of really added to it for me. The story alone is worth it. And the fact that you get to punch a fucking planet. Some of the bosses are bigger than the planet. One of them tries to poke you. You are human-sized. The dude is bigger than the planet, and he literally tries to poke you to death. So you wreck the fuck out of him. Play the game. It's awesome. It's stupid. It's over the top. Go for it.
Awesome.
Game of the decade. Fuck everyone else. You're all wrong. Good night.
So, my cheat game,
Oh, cheat game, yes.
which is sort of like, I think it's a fair cheat game.
Right. Would it come out in like 2009?
No, it's because it's so different from the previous ones.
Oh.
My cheat game series is Far Cry.
Oh, right, okay.
So Far Cry 3 was released in 2012. Far Cry 2 was I think 2007, 8, something like that. It's quite, and the original Far Cry was released very early 2000s.
Original Far Cry was nothing like Far Cry 3. From what I remember, so I'll give you that.
Far Cry 3 and Far Cry have no link whatsoever, apart from the title. Far Cry 2 is...
Oh, well, and they're very pretty, if that's a link.
They're very pretty, yes, and they're both in jungles.
Yes.
Far Cry 2 and Far Cry 3, there's a nub there in Far Cry 2, but Far Cry 3 is, you can see how it developed to Far Cry 3. Far Cry 3 is what I say is sort of the starting point of all the modern Far Cry games.
Yeah.
It set the formula up. So
I mean, you've got to think Far Cry 3. You had Far Cry 3, which is very much like Far Cry 4, Far Cry 5. Homefront Revolution was the fucking Far Cry through and through. I love that game.
yeah.
So, you know, it kind of set the foundations for many other pretty cracking games to come.
Yeah. So you are basically a guy. You're dropped in this big, massive open world. It's a jungle type world. Most of it's open.
Yeah.
There are some bits that are locked off until later parts of the game, but they're like a whole other island. But the majority of the place is open right from the start. And it's basically just an open world. It's like there are main missions, but there's like lots of things to do. So you've got like there'll be outposts that you can go capture. If you capture, you basically allow your side who you're representing takes over and allows them to sort of like start advancing and building up. And you can go hunting. You can hunt animals. And in the earlier Far Cries, you can hunt animals and you can like craft better backpacks and so forth. And
Yeah.
don't ask me questions about that.
You start off like really weak, like a pathetic little goober rich boy that has no idea what the fuck he's doing. You can barely carry any ammo, any weapons, but by going around and becoming kind of one of the tribe, you learn the skills to actually become a badass.
Yeah. They got a little bit of flack for that later on because you're basically a middle-class white American boy who goes and saves his African tribe. So it's a bit of sort of white, but then they fix it in later games. You play the next game, Far Cry 4, set sort of in the Himalayas in sort of India area, and you play as an
you play as a native of the land who had moved away.
Yeah, and he comes back. And then in Far Cry, and there's been so many. They've took the formula and sort of spun off it so much. So you had Far Cry 3 spun off into Blood Dragon, which was basically
like neon.
Neon
it was an
craziness. Absolute piss take at the 80s.
Yeah.
So it was set. Bear in mind, Far Cry got released in 2012. Blood Dragon was set in the futuristic time of 2009, I believe. And
I don't remember flying cars and all the neon from back then.
Yeah. It's just neon.
I am still recovering from
I think
all
one
the
of the descriptions was this bow is futuristic because it's got neon on it.
Yeah,
that's what the descriptions. Yes, and it's an absolute piss take. Helpful hints like grenades explode is one of the hints you get on the title screens.
I didn't know.
Yeah. And it's got the Running Dead in it. I mean, it's just so much. It's just and it's got the guy who played Hicks from Alien voicing it. It's just absolute piss take of also of 80s sort of action films. Then you had Far Cry 4. I
like Far Cry 4.
Yes, Far Cry 4 was like it was basically 3.5. Let's be honest.
Can I lie? I didn't really play Far Cry 4. By the time I got through Far Cry...
Did you do the alternate ending?
Yes. I got so sick of Far Cry... I loved Far Cry 3 when I first played it. And I started going through, and there was a bit of a twist midway, 3/4 of the way through. And I was like, I've started to lose interest in this now. Rocked my way to the end. I wasn't particularly stealthy at it either, because I couldn't... I was already pretty OP. By the time I'd found where the animals were to get the ammo pouches and stuff like that, I was just like,
if you go for it, you can really get fully upgraded very quickly.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I did. When I realised that I was just dragging my heels, I was like, no, what, fuck this, I know where these animals are, let's go find them, kill them, upgrade my stuff, and I'm going to murder everyone I see. Which is great. It's a great murder simulator. But the story falls apart at a point in Far Cry 3. And then Far Cry 4 happened, and there's a... So you travel through this like kind of war-torn, fucked up world. There's this kind of hardcore dictator.
Kingpin. Pagan Min.
Yeah, and you're going to scatter your ashes, or your mother's ashes, or something like that.
It's her last quest, scam on her homeland.
And was it like the army or whatever, basically stop the bus that you're on, and they realise who you are and drag you to Pagan Min, who is this fucking crazy motherfucker wearing a pink suit, if I remember rightly. He's really he comes across as this really nice guy when you meet him, kind of thing. But when he realizes there's members of the rebel forces in his compound, he's like, yeah, we're just gonna go torture him, and he's fine with that, And he makes no secret that he's gonna go and fuck this person up. They're screaming in the background, but he says, just wait for a bit. I'll be back in like 15 minutes. And I was like, all right. There's loads of screaming going on, though. I should probably go and find out what... Because that was like your guide or something that was one of the people or whatever. And I was like, maybe I should go and see what's going on. Like, he's gone through that door, but he told me to wait. And the food here looks pretty nice, and the view's gorgeous. I'm just going to wait. I'm going to wait. And at that point, the game, like after 15 minutes, Pagan Min basically walks in and is like, oh yeah, sorry, I just had to deal with that. Like after you've been sitting there for like blood-curdling screams for 15 minutes. And I'm like, doesn't he come back like covered in blood or something like that?
I don't know. I went and rescued my friend.
Oh, fuck him. So there's like, there was blood on his, like I swear like he came back with like blood on him. He was like wiping himself off or something. And he says, all right, so you want to go do this thing, right? I was like, yeah. And he's like, okay, that's fine, not a problem. And he literally takes me to the area where I can go and scatter my mother's ashes. Like, there you go, job done, sorted. Yeah. The game was over. I literally did that right after finishing Far Cry 3.
Yeah.
And for me, I was like, Far Cry 4's fucking great. This is like a brilliant entry to the game. People were like, you haven't played it. Nope, I'm done. That's my canon ending. Yeah. I'm finished.
They do the same in Far Cry 4. You can basically finish the game off and end the game within the first 20 minutes if you want to.
Good.
Yeah. So Far Cry 4, Far Cry 5, sorry, they do that. Far Cry 4, which is basically 3.5.
Yeah.
So they basically took all Far Cry stuff and then just tweaked it and made it better and fixed it all. All the problems people had.
Brilliant villains.
Very good villains. Bass, you can't beat Bass, though.
No, I suppose you are right.
He's still my favourite villain. Then after that, you had Far Cry Primal, which was basically very interesting. Again, it's basically like their version of Blood Dragon. Blood Dragon was like a spin-off of Far Cry 3. Far Cry Primal was basically a spin-off of that, but it got big enough to have become its own game.
Yeah.
So originally it was going to be like sort of a little mini add-on pack, and it became its own game. And that's set in like I think something like 7,000 B, so it's all 10-20,000 BC. You're basically a caveman.
Yeah.
And it's like the dawn of civilized, sort of like beginning of civilization. You're a caveman, you go around and it's just completely just changed the whole way the game worked. But this is what I love of Cry. They get insanely detailed about it. So they actually went and found these people who specialise in like ancient languages, and got them to work out the dialogue and write like a Proto-European language, what it would have probably been like, based on information they had. So the language they speak isn't gibberish; it means stuff. It means lots of things. It's an actual proper language. If you buy the collector's edition, if you bought the collector's edition, you actually get the language book, which is translation, which I didn't do, which I saw because I bought it digitally.
I will say that's one downside to buying digital games recently. I often see collector's editions of games that I like with art books. So I was like, shit, I'm gonna have to buy the game twice.
But a lot of people out there who are like sort of like go through and they translate because it's subtitle. You have to play this. You can switch the subtitles off to its credit. You can play without subtitles, but then you have no idea what anyone's saying unless you learn the language.
And you're like, what was that?
But otherwise, it's all subtitled in English.
Yeah.
But they speak. But it's really good, and it's also voiced by the guy who basically makes out voices Adam Jensen from Deus Ex.
Right.
Just round bit of note there for you. And he's also in Expanse. So yeah, and then after that became Far Cry 5, which was the one set in America, which was very nice. it's all set in the American South, and it's nice to be something completely different again. They're not phrases like, let's just say it's something completely different. I'm hoping Far Cry 6 will be set after Brexit, because it will be quite a wildernessy, wild place at that point.
Could you imagine that going through London, war-torn, fucked up London?
That's what Watch Dogs 3 is going to be, isn't it? Set after Brexit.
Yeah.
Brexit. So, let's just see how fucked up the UK is now.
That's like when I first played, is it Resistance Fall of Man? Takes place in like alternate World War II London.
Yeah.
And the place is an absolute star. And I was like, wow, man, if I had a dream journal, this would almost be perfect.
Yeah.
London is fucked up and I love it.
And then
No love lost to London, by the way. I fucking hate it. Sty City.
And then you have Far Cry New Dawn, which again they've changed up the formulation, and it's set after the ending of Far Cry 5, which again is like New Dawn's like their version of like what Prime was to Far Cry 4, what Bloodhound was to Far Cry 3, New Dawn's like that to Far Cry 5. Yeah, I love the mechanics of it. I love the fact that you just open world. I love the fact that it's a very vibe. They feel like very alive worlds. As you're walking around, you'll hear people getting attached. You go and help. You get bullets. And Far Cry New Dawn, you get a big pig called Horatio who fucks everybody up.
You're a huge fan of that pig. I was a huge fan of that pig, and I didn't even like the game.
Everybody loved the pig. I remember that base. He basically did it for me, and I was like, and he sort of
He was the main character. He was the star of.
I do think I was the NPC in that situation. He was basically
just stand there and watch the pig do the work.
Yeah, I was quite happy to play some DLC where I play as the pig. I can go around just fucking everybody up.
I think it's more fun watching the pig do it. You just stand there, go and have a beer, you know.
It's like, right, let's go. Oh no, we've set the alarm. Let's go, Horatio. Oh, you've killed everybody.
Let's go, Horatio. Where is everything?
And he walks over to you, looks at you, and he sort of goes, "What the fuck were you?"
I was over here waiting to tell you to go and fuck them up, but you've already done it. Good job.
Yeah. But I just it's a series it's one series that I've sort of got really hooked on. I love it. I look forward to every sort of new one coming out. I have to leave a bit of a gap between them because I can't really get burnout on them. I think they're one of the few games that I think I've played every one through now to completion, which is not often what I do in a series.
Completion like 100%.
Yes.
Wow, there's a lot to do in those games.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, there's. You've got the collectibles, but they're smart. You know, the collectibles you can buy a map and it just shows you where they are. Yeah, which is just smart. You know, it's a smart way to do it. So you still have to work for them. Yeah. But you know exactly, you're not going to literally be trawling every quarter. Because all that happens, they realise all that happens is those situations. People just go on like a wiki and just download a map of the picture.
Yeah, just go to like GameFAQs or whatever and just, you know.
GameFAQs is a blast from the past.
Yeah. Plus, I hate saying FAQ. It's Game FAQs or whatever.
Oh, it's called Game FAQs.
But, you know. Yeah, they are fun games. And like I say, one of my other favourite games was literally Homefront: The Revolution, which was Far Cry with a
South America with North Korea.
Yeah. I fucking loved that game. It was absolutely... Have you played it?
I have not.
Do it. It's always cheap. Do it.
I definitely need another Far Cry game in my life.
Yes, you do. It's brilliant. Yeah. Because, you know, it's goofy and it's fun, and I enjoyed near enough every moment of that game. It got a bit nasty towards the end, where enemies were fucking evil. Like, oh hey, look, it's a heavily armored what the fuck ever. Oh, I'm dead again. But yeah, it was really, really fun. And for someone who likes Far Cry, I'm surprised you haven't played it, because it is literally Far Cry with a different skin.
I'll have to give it a go.
Plus, when you mention Far Cry Primal, I almost feel like I have to ask, you know, did it have aliens at the end?
No.
See, everyone's like, someone says to me, "Oh yeah, mate, it's Battlefield 1942 or whatever." It's like, "Oh yeah, does it have like jet fighters and shit?" And people are like, "Don't you understand? I just said 1942." I go, "Yeah, but every time someone gives me a game set in a certain time period, the developers always decide they're going to fuck it up." This is me referencing one of the Might of Magic series games where the entire thing takes place in like medieval where the fuck ever, bumfuck middle of nowhere, and then at the end of it, it's like, "Oh yeah, there's aliens and spaceships."
Yeah, it made me laugh because with my dad. Because my dad, whenever my sister likes to watch Where Eagles Dare, which is set during World War II. And as at one point in Where I was there, in the German compound, a helicopter lands, and the Germans get out.
That's almost like saying when you watch a film.
Can I also point out that you said 942, you said about jet planes. They did have jet planes then.
No, I mean like I'm talking
F-22s.
like stealth bombers and shit like that is what I'm talking about. But like what was one of the other like, or when you watch a World War One film and they actually refer to it as World War One. It's like there hasn't been a second one yet. What the hell are you talking about?
They call it the Great War. It wasn't that great, for my opinion, personally.
Yeah, lots of people got fucked up and were miserable, but whatever.
It's the greatest war. It's the biggest war we've ever had.
It's the biggest war. Rock on, Don.
It's the biggest war, and Germany's going to pay for it.
Oh, dear.
Dear. I suppose the only thing I want to mention, this is nothing to do with the game. It's just the "oh fuck, I'm old" category. That is, I found out Deus Ex Human Revolution got released in 2011.
Wow.
And I saw that, I thought, "oh fuck, I'm old."
Yeah, like I said, that feels really.
Well, I realised that's the game is set in 2027, which means we're now closer to when the game was set to when it was released.
That's like when I always look at like I think is it Mega Man games that used to happen in like 1990X or like Mega Man X was like 2020X, and I'm like, where the fuck's all this stuff? Where is it? We're almost there. Where are my robots?
Yes,
we've got Alexa. No.
Yeah, I've got Alexa now.
Oh no, have you?
Yeah, I'm listening to. I can't wait for my Amazon recommendations.
Oh my god, what have you got?
Oh, it's only £25.
But what? Is the microphone on?
Yeah, of course it is.
Oh.
Yeah, I know. I can't wait for my Amazon recommendations. I walk and say, "Alexa, good morning," and she talks to me. She tells me the date, the time, the weather, and
no.
I get
You remind me of that chick from Mr. Robot, where pretty much the only friend she has is her Alexa. It's like, oh my god. Can I just throw out there just a random aside to the fact that you've now got an Alexa, which terrifies the fuck out of me, even though I've got a house full of Google Homes with the microphones disabled, might I add, because they make great whole home audio. A friend of ours, or an acquaintance of ours, has smart devices, IoT devices, but he's also tech savvy enough to know that he doesn't trust them. So he has been setting up all of the devices on his network so that all of the main devices, like his computers and stuff, are on one LAN, and then there's like a virtual LAN, a VLAN, just for the IoT devices. So devices on the main network can talk to the IoT devices, but the IoT devices can't do anything outside, so they can't phone home to like send any magic data back to like Google or Amazon or whatever. But then I said to him, thing just happened and I didn't get to see what it was. So, marvellous. Thank you, I guess. I didn't see what that was.
Oh dear.
I didn't actually have the notifications box turned on. So if anyone knows what the hell that was, mention it. And then I'll forget to edit it out in the podcast version. But rocking, you made a notification sound. That can't be right, because Randoms doesn't have notifications set up. Whoever did whatever, good job.
We have had notifications on there before.
Have we?
Yeah, when someone subscribed to us once.
Oh, there you go. There's a follow. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for letting us know.
But, see, that's great. Why have notifications when people can just tell you and you're like, what the fuck was that sound for?
That's it. Well, yeah, exactly. Why? Just people put the updates in there.
That sound was dumb. What was it for? I followed. Oh, thank you.
Cheers. Thank you.
I have no idea what that stupid sound was.
Who made that noise? I did. Thank you.
Good job. Who fucked up my audio? Now I'm going to have to edit that out. I'm not going to. Yeah, he's put all that stuff on VLANs, so he's separated the IoT device. I was like, you do know that you've left the most brutal culprit of all for spying on you on your main network. And he was like, huh? I was like, you got a smartphone, dude, and that's just on your home network all the time.
No, you need to apologise. Welcome. Welcome to us.
Whenever anyone says welcome now, it just reminds me of the dude from the Doom reboot.
Welcome.
And I'm like, oh shit. Don't make me go through a teleporter. Don't make me face the hordes of hell. Oh shit.
Good news, Skazz. You ain't opened the door yet.
Yeah, the door
Doors of death.
When are we gonna? When is there gonna be a Doors of Death series? Annie always reminds me, and I'm proud of him. Like, we're gonna take away all the doors from his place, so like he doesn't have to go through a door to go to the bathroom or anything. Because you know that one day he's gonna need to desperately take a piss.
Look.
Someone has shut the door. He's gonna open it and fall into a pit.
Oh, you don't. This is my solution. Okay.
Yeah.
Do you want some privacy, but you don't want to have doors of death in your house? Bead curtains.
Why not just barricade yourself into the bathroom?
Every time you go in there.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you could have beads, but
that's
then you...
well, Shitty's amnesia knockoff.
No, you don't want bead curtains, mate, because then people think you're a fucking hippie.
Or what about those big metal ones you have see outside like butcher shops, on the kitchens? Those big like ones that are basically metal chains.
Oh, wow.
Then people think you're into S&M. It's all right.
Yeah. Where's your gimp suit, mate? You got a bead curtain over there. What? Yeah.
Right.
Make an alert box. We have alert boxes. I
haven't
didn't
switched them on.
Yeah, I didn't bother putting them on the stream because. 1 second. Text. Notification box is the third one. It is turned on. It just turns out that I slapped the webcam over the top because I fucked around with the settings today because my machine cocked up. This is what happens when you run a live stream off of a computer that came from 2012, and then you realise there was a massive cock up whilst you were.
So is this the best computer of the decade?
Yes,
Good.
it is, because it runs my live stream constantly. It's unfortunate for other people because they get forced to watch this shit from the best computer in the decade. But yeah, I ended up redoing all the layouts and stuff because we went from using a capture card and a mirrorless camera for epic crisp video, but that was a pain in the ass to key out because that had a higher dynamic range. And so if I didn't light the green screen properly, you would see all of the gradients between, from one point to another, whereas the web camera has got such shit color reproduction. It's like, jazz green. So just press the button, it's done. I was like, yeah, we'll do that. But I didn't bother to change any of the layout, so I had to re-add another webcam instance to do the podcast, which then covered up the notifications. 2012 was a good year.
Yes, 2012 was a good year because that's the year that
a game came out.
That's the year that Walking Dead was released, Dishonored was released, and Far Cry 3 was released.
There you go. Plus, look. There are so many people out there going out there buying brand spanking new, super powerful machines and that to do live streams and stuff like that. You don't need it. I can push 1080-60 with no problem with a machine from 2012. You don't need it. Wait, 7. Fuck, we're old, dude.
I know.
We are so old. Grow up, will you?
So that was back in the days when he could play platformers, complete them. It's all downhill from now on. I'm sorry.
Yeah, there you go.
It's all that you've had it now. It's all downhill.
Your
from now
gaming skills slowly but surely degrade, and when you become as old as us,
you've got to 21, and then that's it.
Yep.
21, and then it's just a downward slope, and to the point of us where we can only play crossword games.
Crosswords? Jesus Christ, man, I've practically got Alzheimer's, so I can't do that. I'm looking at it going, what the fuck are these squares here for? And what
Begins with D, ends in G. And the clue is another word for canine. I can't figure it out. 3 letters.
a dag? Dig?
A
Doug.
Doug, that must be it.
Look, why are they making shit up?
Yeah, I say you've got another. You're 14. You've got another 7 years. When you're 21, it all goes downhill from there. Trust us.
Yep.
At that point, everything starts to break.
Yeah.
Your
No, I'd
limbs,
say from
your
about
legs.
the age of 25, everything goes downhill. And when you're 30, just throw yourself into a hole. Because it's over at that point.
Yeah. At age 30, you wake and go, why is not... There's always... You never wake up and you go, not a single part of my body hurts today. Every part of your body hurts somewhat at age 30.
Why is there blood all over my bed sheets? Why have I pissed...
Again.
Why have I pissed myself? How come I can't see? Where's my glasses? Someone find me my dentures. And where is that young nurse that sponge bathed me yesterday? Because this sucks. And that is literally the day after That is the day after you fucking, like, you were 29, your birthday hits, 30, you start to crumble, you go to sleep, bam. 30 and a day, you're dead.
30 a day, you've got arthritis at that point.
You are arthritic.
Your eyes are gone.
You're a crippled old man or woman, you're just done.
Yeah, you've had it.
You've got grey hair, you've just fallen apart, you're dead. You don't even you put on some music, like, I don't know, you go to Spotify and they start recommending some kind of EDM, you're like, this isn't music.
Yes, we are from the UK.
Yes.
What gave it away?
Our shitty
Our classic was so pronunciation accents we have.
Our shitty accents and the fact that Brexit was dumb. I said the buzzword. The European referendum.
We fucked the country.
Or, depending on what side you're on, the country is going to get significantly better because... Wait, what reason have I got to say it's better?
There is no good reason. Well, there is no good reason.
If I had to be honest, the only way...
What time's it? It is now near enough 20 past midnight.
And I'm pissing off my neighbours because we're talking right next to their bedrooms. And you know what?
And talking of pissing off, I really need a wee.
Do you?
Yeah,
well,
but that's because I'm 30, you see, so I can't
like
go more than 10
piss every
minutes
15 seconds. Have you had anything to drink? No, but I still need to piss. But you just went, yeah, but I need to piss. There you go.
You raped the country. Well, I voted to remain, so I didn't personally.
And I didn't vote, so I don't have an opinion. Because I think that all politicians are bollocks, and the only way this country is going to get better is if we nuke it. Yeah, you can't disagree. Significant.
Can I be just outside the dead lethal rate? No, that's worse. Like a long lingering death.
Exactly. You want to be where the flash happens.
You want to be at the point where you don't even know you're dead yet.
Didn't that happen in wasn't that War Games or like the sequel to War Games? Like, don't worry about it. We're right next door to a major city. We will die near enough instantly. It's fine. It's those people over there you got to worry about.
Yeah. Good old War Games. Best hacker film ever
War
made.
Dialing.
Best hacker film ever made.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to play a game? If you're 40 and not seen War Games, you need to look at War Games. Best hacking film ever made.
Right, hang on. What do we think about it happened?
World War 3. Hasn't happened yet, but you know what? I'm too old to be caught up in the draft, so I'm safe.
You are dead.
I work on a farm, which means I'm an essential service, which means again I can't be caught for the draft.
I'm mentally handicapped.
So he can't be caught. So we're safe. We're all right. We're all right for World War 3.
And
and we're part of the UK that, to be fair, you can't tell it's been bombed or not. So
no, it is true.
We're quite safe anyway. So we'll be all right.
Yep. Oh dear. Do we really think the town we live in is that shit? Yes. Yeah. It is. It is. I mean, we only literally got electricity last week. Television will come up at some point. That reminds
me, I need to go put some more fire on the board in the generator. I've got to go cut some more wood up.
I was going to say you need to put more fire in the generator. I was like, wait, what?
And what do you think about Trumpy? Yeah, the
Don.
Yeah, the orangutan.
The Don.
I think he's
funny. He makes me laugh.
But not in the right way, though. Not because
he's quoting facts that are completely wrong. I mean, they're right.
No.
The year before.
No. They're alternative facts. I.e., we made this up, but we think it's true.
He did actually. He said, I think it was like his last tweet of last year. Like the last tweet of the year was right, but the year before.
Sounds about right. Yeah. No. Trump. We really are screwed as a nation. We've got President Trump in charge of America. We've got Boris in charge of the UK. We really are screwed as a.
Yeah, we've lost the NHS now. The last good thing in this country, and we've lost it.
Yeah. So it is the end times.
Let's all go to North Korea.
Yeah.
I mean, look, we'd be sorted if we went to North Korea, as long as we all played the villains in North Korean propaganda. And I'm cool with that, because I'd make a pretty good bad guy.
Yeah, I think you could do. We can move to America and be the bad guys on their films. They always have English people as bad guys. I'm not well spoken enough to be a bad guy.
No, I'm too nasty.
Too nasty bad guy. On that note...
Oh, hang on, wait there. Look.
Oh.
Good old Kim.
On that note, I think we finished our episode 130. So thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for following us.
We'll be back in 2 weeks
We'll
for
be back.
more insufferable
Yeah.
bollocks.
Back in 2 weeks on the 18th of January at 21:30 GMT for episode 131.
Aren't you going to translate that to the rest of the world? Look, just look it up.
Okay, now I've got this. I saw this. 21:30 UTC. That's the universal standard time across the whole world.
I was going to say, you should... Wait.
Do you ever been to Germany? No, we have never been to Germany.
If I went to Germany, they'd kill me because I'm crippled. Oh, wait. This isn't...
Well, no, Germany's quite a nice place these days. I think that's
is it? Sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So
I'm still living... Because I'm so old. I'm still living in the past.
No, Germany's actually quite a nice place. No, I would like to go to Germany.
I can't remember if I've been to Germany.
I want to go to Oktoberfest.
Oh, I can't do that. I can't.
No?
Well, everyone's happy because they're drinking, and I get really nasty when I drink too much. So
that'll be fine.
The angry British guy stomps through. Starts fucking...
I just mellow out and start giggling to myself in the corner when I drink too much.
Yeah, it depends who I'm hanging out with. I'm going to have to start
You
shouting.
live there? Oh, lucky you.
Good job. Get me a drink.
How does it feel to be in a country that's actually, semi-competently won? How does it feel to be in a country that everybody's happy and is not about to screw itself over? How does it feel to be in such a nice place, in a great place?
Well, you got to think they had their shit time many
true.
years ago. So we're now having a very, very shit time, and we might be very happy in say another 70 plus years.
Since the war, yeah.
Since the war.
The war was quite. They were quite. I think the crime it was divided.
It was when everything fucked up.
You're not happy there.
Then come to the UK. You'll know what true misery is.
Yeah. Yeah. Come here and find out how really bad it is, and then you'll go back and be glad for what you've got.
You'll be like, holy shit, they're animals. It's true, honestly.
I'll see why I'm not from the UK.
I hate speaking English. I'm not very good at it, to be honest with you.
To be fair, I didn't realise your English is all right from the typing you've done.
Oh, I thought you were American.
I thought you were American as well. Because to be honest, the internet is basically Americans.
Well, yeah, because America is the world. What are you talking about, man? America is the... Look, I'm just throwing out there, in case anyone didn't know, because it has been established recently, the secret is out. I do write the story for the entire planet. So, just so you know, America, I'm letting it out there, it is a fictional place that I made up to scare the rest of the world in line. It's all a set in the back of my garage. It's not real. They're all actors. Trump doesn't actually exist. He's just my mate the Don. We gave him a stupid wig and little hands and told him to say, look, I don't know, bigliest or what the fuck ever it is he says.
Is that why he's so repetitive? Because he's only got a limited script?
Well, because I can't be arsed. I just have to make them look really daft and threaten to nuke people all the time. It's fine. They don't actually have to make sense.
No. Right.
Let's go.
Thank you very much for joining us, everybody.
And fuck it. I'm not editing this podcast. I'm a champion. I've got other stuff to worry about this year.
Fair enough. So thank you very much for joining us, our new subscriber, our new
Where's
follower.
the off button? Oh, fuck it.
Can you translate this vaguely? Yeah, trust me, I can barely translate English. So, good night. Have a good night.
Yeah. 2 weeks' time, the nightmare continues. Fear attracting doors of death, and...
You want to stop streaming first, don't
I forgot the other one. What's the other one?
Fear attracting doors of death. I can't remember the other one.
Space Barbarian.
Space Barbarian. Well, that's what that was. Alright, so I'll stop streaming.
Bye.
Bye.